せなら毛を叩こう幸せなら毛を叩こう
幸せな新色ジャツビーから
Sorry, I'm really slow clicking things. It's the DG Podcast episode 57. Of all things, if you can't tell by the thumbnail, we're talking about Daredevil. But before we get into that, I guess we should ask how everybody's doing. How's it going, Jason?
Not too bad. I finished watching Zom 100. What the Bucket List of the Dead?
The anime or the live action?
The anime.
The anime's it's good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed more the early stuff in the season.
Yeah. I did like the kind of juxtaposition between how he basically starts out as a zombie, and when the outbreak happens, it just blows his mind. Yeah, he comes back to life, and the fact that it's such a departure from like the traditional zombie kind of fare. You know what I mean? It's like a zombie apocalypse happens and everything is doom and gloom, and even like the atmosphere is almost poisonous. You know what I mean? Everything's dark and gloomy, and basically when the zombie apocalypse happens, he's like, I'm free, and just everything becomes bright and shiny. And
well, they add color. I mean, even they paint the zombies with like multiple colors.
Oh yeah, and there's like blood and gore everywhere, but it's all Technicolor. It's all beautiful, and the sun is shining, and it was just kind of a breath of fresh air, really, in like the zombie genre. It was just so much fun.
Well, one of my favorite parts is in the first couple episodes where he goes to go out and get some like beer because he just wants to drink some beer. Because like the zombie apocalypse, after going through the life he went through with the black business, which you'll have in Japan, those black companies, and how miserable he was. He's like, it's fun for him, the zombie apocalypse, because he doesn't have to go to work or anything. But anyway, he's climbing down the side of the building, and the neighbors downstairs are at their balcony being like, oh, this miserable, we're all going to die. And he slowly goes past them. He goes, oh, hello. And they're like, hi. He's like, you want me to get something for you? I'm going to the store. And they're like, yeah. And it's just the casualness. He's approached everything. The point of the show being Zom 100, it's his 100 things he wants to do before he becomes a zombie sort of thing. And they're all frivolous. It's like, get a big screen TV.
Where he goes to he decides he's going to be a superhero, and he goes to the aquarium to get that shark-proof suit so the zombies can't bite him. And then he's like, he's basically facing off against the zombies, and they start biting him, and he's like, ow, ow, ow. Because he's like, yeah, they can't get through my armor, but it doesn't save me from the fact that they were trying to bite me.
They did make a live action. It's not too bad.
I'll have to check it out.
Silver.
It's just a good one, yeah.
Oh, did you have more going on before I
interrupted
you? Because I've seen all of I've seen both seasons of live action and the anime.
No, I'm done. Go for it.
Oh, sweet. Oh, look, it's Silver. I didn't know you were going to be in this podcast.
Oh. I wish I could be doing mass destruction right now.
Mass destruction? Well, what are you doing? Something school related?
I am dying.
Well, dying is not yet dead, so you're on the way, but if you're going to get your numbers up, you got to go the whole distance. Don't be a failure. Don't do things part of the way.
My entire week has been testing. I created aspirin in a lab. That was interesting.
Sweet.
What else? Oh, right. It's supposed to be spring break starting Monday.
So it's busier than it normally is?
Supposed to be. I have a test scheduled Monday.
What?
Yes. Also, I have another cold and I'm hating life.
Did you puke on the cat
just like,
puke?
Please end it. No.
Is the bed sleepable?
The bed is sleepable again. The cat is alive.
With its one tooth or whatever.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's a funny little cat. One tooth, missing half an ear.
He's a veteran of some war you've never heard of.
Weirdo. Yeah, he must be. I keep looking at him like, you're kind of pirate-esque.
The back alley war of 2024.
Many noble cats got injured that day.
Whiskers will never be the same.
Never be the same. Well,
he still flinches when he hears a car about fire.
The angel. Well, this is a podcast for me. Well, as of every podcast isn't for me, because it's all about me.
Good for you.
It's for me because the new season of Daredevil has come out. Now, as I awkwardly, slowly try and go back to what I was supposed to be finding. So, we've discussed Daredevil before in the past. I am notoriously a fan of the Daredevils.
Do you like my thumbnail?
I did like your thumbnail.
Give me acknowledgements.
Silver makes thumbnails. But it's Daredevil time. So Netflix made 3 seasons of Daredevil. What did we get? 2 of Iron Fist. Did we get 2 of Jessica Jones?
2 of Jessica Jones, yeah.
Did we get 2 of Luke Cage or 3?
I think it was just 2.
And we had a Defenders.
Yeah, one abbreviated season of Defenders, if I remember right.
2 Punisher.
Yeah.
And it all began with Daredevil. Daredevil is one of my... As if I need to establish a bona fides, it doesn't matter whether or not I like Daredevil or I'm a huge fan of it, but he is one of my original, of the comic books I have. It's like I got Spider-Man, I got Batman, I've got some X-Men, and I've got the Daredevil. I've got preferences and different stuff. Like my favorite X-Man is Nightcrawler. And I've got a few of the graphic novels that came from Nightcrawler's run. I've always been a big Batman fan. But I've always been a fan of the more Marvel Knights characters, the more grounded street level. And the problem with Spider-Man is he's both street level and not street level.
Right. He's too overpowered to be street level technically.
Yeah, but he does a lot of street level stuff, and I'm more of a street level guy. And Batman, I always hate the Batman stuff when he's like going to fight Darkseid and doing the big global stuff with the Justice League. It's like, no, I want him to punch gangsters on the street, and I want him to investigate murders.
No,
That's
I'm Batman.
I am Batman. That's peak Batman, is when he's doing that stuff.
Right.
And the Marvel Knight stuff, you're talking your Daredevil, your Luke Cage, your Iron Fist, your Moon Knights. I'm a big fan of Moon Knight. I've got some of his stuff.
You must love the series then.
No, it sucks. And Daredevil is sort of peak those sorts of characters. He's a ground level, I punch guys. I brought this up on the podcast before. One of my favorite moments, I think it was a Spider-Man comic, where a bunch of criminals were sitting there talking about where to do crimes and what's the best place to get caught. And a lot of them were like, well, it's best to get caught by Spider-Man because he'll web you up because he's always off doing something more important. So he'll web you up and hang you from a light pole, and sometimes the cops will come by and not know why you're there. So that they'll just have to let you go or whatever because they don't know what you were doing. But Spider-Man doesn't go too far. And it's like, it depends on which part of the city, depends on who you run into. And all of them are like, stay out of Hell's Kitchen because Daredevil will injure you permanently. Because he's that guy. He's a dangerous guy. And one unique part of the character, if you're not familiar, but if you're listening to a nerdy podcast, how can you not know who a Daredevil is that he's blind. And when the character was originally written, they got a lot of attention from the blind community because the comics were originally very dark and sort of violent. And they were worried that the blind community would look on unfavorably as sort of a character that they like, but they didn't mind it. They just liked that somebody who was blind was being displayed as a hero of some kind. And the characters meant a lot to people.
He portrayed definitely in a positive light. He was blind, but he didn't allow that to hinder him from what he wanted to do.
Well, and he's quote unquote blind. He's literally super enhanced hearing, allows him to hear everything around him. So it's like he's as capable of fighting somebody behind him as he is in front of him because he knows that they're there. It's like, it's kind of sonar, kind of, he could just hear everything. His hearing is just perfect. It enhanced to such a way that, and they did it sort of exaggerated. If you watch the Ben Affleck Daredevil, where they're like, well, his hearing is so insane, he couldn't sleep. He would just hear everything. So they had to put him in like a sensory deprivation chamber floating in water for him to sleep at night. And I was like, okay. The point of the character is he trained enough.
Never established.
No, not in the comics that I remember. It might have been at some point. I haven't read every Daredevil. But the ones I've read, he sleeps in a bed. And part of the point of his character is he's so well trained by like ninjas and stuff that he can parse out sound, like he can focus and he can eliminate things. It's almost like with your eyesight, you don't have to look at everything all of the time. You can focus on one thing or just blank out and not try and let it all pass by. And he's a great character. He's an interesting character. He fights ground level characters, and as he's evolved, what's funny is Daredevil was always kind of a B tier, if not C tier character for a long time. A lot of the villains he fought were like rejects from Spider-Man. So it's like they would make up a character for Spider-Man to fight, and Spider-Man would beat him, and the character wouldn't go over well. So like Daredevil would fight him later. So he would get stuff like Kingpin was the Spider-Man villain for a while. But he would fight guys like Stiltman. Just goofy reject Spider-Man characters.
Just out of curiosity, is it ever mentioned, like, what degree of blindness does he have? I know a lot of people who are blind. He's completely okay.
Yeah, he sees nothing.
Just that some of them was like, okay, it would be like a pinpoint vision. So I was curious what he was.
Yeah, no, it's not even cloud. And the problem with his hearing is so perfect that he kind of sees everything and nothing. You know what I mean? Like physically can't see anything, but he kind of hears everything. And it's hard to display visually. I kind of liked how the movie did it, where it showed sound waves bounce off of things. And they had this narrative where he could see perfectly in the rain because the rain touches everything when it hits, and so it's almost like it shapes everything perfectly.
Cool.
The fascinating character.
So it is like an echolocation.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And the character.
One of the things that I always.
Go ahead.
One of the things I always thought was fascinating about Daredevil was that because of his hearing, there were a couple of things that he could do that nobody else could do. Like he could detect people lying to him because he could hear their body react to the fact that they were, trying to tell a lie.
Their heartbeat.
But, yeah. And
the lie detector.
That's what made him a great lawyer.
Yes.
Ah.
But on top of that, his hearing was he could tell who somebody was based on the sounds their body made. So when he met Spider-Man for the first time, he knew he was Peter Parker because Spider-Man sounds like Peter Parker.
And then they don't emphasize it in the show, but his sense of touch is also perfect. So he can actually read print because he can feel the slight raise in the words on the page, sort of thing.
My gosh.
I know. And the lawyer thing, the character it began in like 1964. And the character came out of an era that was dealing with a lot of like civil unrest in America. And as often happens with superheroes, they're expressions of the angst of society wanting to deal with the fact that like there's violence around me, but nobody's doing anything about it. And the system is failing. What if there was somebody that went out there and got justice? It's a heroic, often masculine character who goes out in the vigilante way and sets things right. It's the death wish sort of thing in a more violent way that you got out of like the 70s and stuff. And he came out of the era of civil strife, so he's a lawyer fighting for people's rights. And a lot of the criminals, especially like Kingpin, as he rose into like the 80s and 90s, Kingpin expressed like people's mistrust of corporate excess and things getting out of control. And Kingpin evolved from simply like a mafioso guy to like this corporatist sort of person, taking advantage of the little man and stuff. A great character who's not afraid to punch people for doing wrong, and he will seriously injure you. Now, he does have the Batman problem of he won't kill people, and a lot of that traces back to he's a very religious person. If you read Daredevil, he is in and out Catholic imagery. It's crosses and talking to priests, and he's constantly reflecting on what it means to be a person, what it means to do good, what it means to have a connection to God, and what it means to do the right thing. And a lot of his faith is what holds him back from being just the extreme end of what he could become. Which rounds out a very fleshed out and interesting character that gives you a lot of sort of dimensions to who this person is. Great character. Love Daredevil. He uses, ironically being a Catholic, the devil imagery. Almost like Batman being afraid of bats. He's going to use the bat to scare people. He is a devil. He's fighting in Hell's Kitchen. His original gimmick was he was like an acrobat. They called him the man without fear. He can swing around and flip over things and whatnot. Daredevil is extremely underpowered. He's practically just a guy. He is not Spider-Man. He does not have super strength.
And that's one of the reasons he fights the way he does. Is because he's underpowered.
Well, and also he's sort of Marvel's punching bag. he's meant to be a rough and tumble guy. Daredevil loses a lot in the comics.
Yeah, he does.
He gets beat up a lot. He gets injured a lot. He is constantly trying to overcome threats and difficulties that are way too difficult for his character to get through. He is a great character, because oftentimes with a lot of superheroes, and Superman has his place and stuff, but people are too afraid to have them go through difficulties because you want to show them as super amazing. Like Captain Marvel has this problem. She's not interesting. There's no dimension to her because there's no threat. There needs to be a threat to her character. I'm not interested in who's more powerful. I'm interested in the fact that because he's not that powerful, his heroic feats are more amazing because of what he's able to overcome, because of what he's able to do with what he has. He is quintessentially, he has enough power to do enough, but he is not the strongest guy out there. So it's heroically brave for him to step into the arena with even average people sometimes. I mean, he's above average fighter. He's like this master martial artist and stuff, but he is no Spider-Man. He's a great character. If you can't tell,
I think the fact that he is purely human without superpowers is what makes his character really great.
Relatable.
Well, I think if he had like superpowers, it'd be like, okay.
Well, besides like the hearing and the touch, but yeah.
You have to be much smarter with a character like Daredevil.
Yeah.
Because you can't just rely on his superpowers to get him out of things. Because his superpower is basically the fact that he has increased senses from the accident that took his sight. He doesn't have reflexes that are faster than the human eye can follow. He doesn't have the ability to lift tons. He doesn't have the resilience of somebody like the Thing. So you have to be much smarter when you write him, because you can't just have him go into a fight with Rhino and have him and he's going to come out squeaky clean on the other side. Not going to happen with him. With other characters, sure, Rhino will not be a threat to them at all. The Sentry or a Captain Marvel, any of those, Rhino is not going to be a threat to them at all. But with Daredevil, you have to figure out, okay, Daredevil would be pasted by a villain like Rhino. So how do we have him fight Rhino? How do we make this a believable, even-sided fight that our readers will believe? Yes, this is knowing the extent of their powers. This is how Daredevil would overcome a superpowered individual. So you have to be a lot smarter about writing it, and I think that lends itself well to why Daredevil can be such a compelling character, because people can much more readily identify with him because they don't have powers either.
Well, I think it's even more than that. I think it's more than just his limitations. It's funny, when you talk about Superman, nobody knows how to write Superman well. And he's especially most overpowered characters. And sometimes they're afraid to give them personal difficulties, and sometimes they're afraid. It's like Captain Marvel's biggest flaws is they don't have her. When there's no threat to you physically, you have to do other things with the character. He is interesting enough that everything's threatening to him, but his personal story is tragic and difficult, and there's constant drama and constant death and constant difficulties trying to run into. He personally has problems. It's not just his Daredevil persona, it's his personal life. That's what makes Spider-Man so engaging. Spider-Man's one flaw people don't understand about Spider-Man. Well, he used to. Spider-Man, he is an amazing superhero, and Peter Parker's life sucks. It's this weird. Stan Lee used to talk about Peter Parker, where he's like, I wanted a hero that had normal problems, like he couldn't pay bills, and he couldn't get a girlfriend, and he had difficulties at school, and you have this weird contrast of the two, the hero who could go out and do everything, and the human, the Peter Parker who had a miserable life. Peter Parker's life is miserable in the comics, and they get pretty close in the Raimi movies, but it's like everything's difficult for him. He goes through problems. Daredevil goes through problems. Matt Murdock goes through problems. His life has problems. One of my favorite points they made in the comics is Daredevil is also not just the hero, the Daredevil persona. He's both the lawyer. The point is at night he fights for justice, and then during the day he fights for justice in the court system. He is kind of both at the same time. He's not just this devil persona that's violent. He is also sort of I'm trying to get justice for the common man during the day. He cares very much about, which reflects on his Catholic Christian upbringing. Sorry, Jason, you were going to say something.
Well, what I was going to say is that's what I was getting at. That those things all make him a much more compelling and relatable character than, say, Batman. Batman is a compelling character, yes, but it's sometimes hard to relate to Batman or Iron Man for that instance, because they're that billionaire playboy, whereas with Daredevil, with Spider-Man, they're struggling. They have their day jobs that they have to go to, otherwise they can't pay the bills, and that's just like everybody else in this world, whereas Batman, he wants something, he just pulls out his credit card and pays for it and has whatever he wants, and so while we like Batman for the dark and brooding superhero that he is, and for the situations that he is in, and his wonderful rogues gallery and all that stuff, we don't necessarily identify with Batman, with Bruce Wayne on that personal level like we can with Daredevil and Peter Parker.
There are very few times when superhero movies get it almost perfectly. I would say one of the best superhero movies of all time. One of my favorite love Spider-Man is Spider-Man 2, where
Spider-Man 2 is amazing.
The love of his life is going to get married, and everything's miserable for him, and he questions whether or not he wants to be a superhero, and he has to.
The villains are amazing.
The villains are amazing, and he has to let go of that he doesn't get to have what he wants, but he still has to do the right thing as Spider-Man. It's a great movie. I think Captain America, the first Avenger, is a brilliant. It's very Captain America. It fits perfectly with his character. Yes. I love Captain America, the first Avenger. Made by the guys that made one of my other favorite movies with Rocketeer. Fits perfectly with the persona and stuff. This Daredevil season
Rocketeer was a good one.
Might be one of the best superhero shows of all time, because it's almost perfectly the comic for Daredevil. His apartment is cast in shadows the way it should be, because why would he turn on a light? He's blind.
Why would he? The lights are for other people.
They use shadows accurately where they're supposed to shine on his face in certain ways. They use light accurately. So if you haven't seen it, I recommend up and down Daredevil season 1. It is amazing. It's brilliant. Daredevil season 2, I also think is very good. Season 3, but brilliant storytelling. If you want to know Daredevil, see that first season. Beautiful. Great. It is some of the best storytelling of all time. And needless to say, there was a huge
choreography.
Fight choreography. Well, everybody still talks about the fight down the hallway in the first season.
Yeah, the hallway fight.
Season 2 had that really great fight where he goes down the staircase through the hospital.
Yes.
Really great fight scene in season 2. They tried to go over the top with season 3 where they're fighting all these hand on the rooftop with Elektra, and it doesn't quite work out. They needed more time to perfect the fight scene. Regardless. Amazing. I assume you guys have seen the first 3 seasons of Daredevil Silver?
I didn't see season 3. I kind of checked out after season 2.
I
think it was
get to watch it.
I think it was the other ones, like Jessica Jones, Luke
Jessica
Cage,
Jones
and,
sucks.
yeah, it does. And Iron Fist. Those ones kind of soured.
Well, Luke Cage,
soured the experience for me.
First half of Luke Cage is pretty good. Iron Fist is one of the biggest abominations in television making.
So bad.
They ruin his character up and down. Season 1, and I love Iron Fist. He's a great character. They ruined his character. Terrible storytelling. Silver, I would recommend seeing Daredevil if you have some time. Sit down and watch some Daredevil. Your dad would probably watch it with you. It's up his alley.
Yeah, I remember him watching it and really liking it. I forget when it came out, but yeah, I should bring it up to him. Like, oh, we should watch this.
It's really good.
I don't know why, but I picture... Was there a movie? Was there a Daredevil movie
with Ben Affleck?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why, but I keep picturing like a good Daredevil movie, if they ever did one, kind of being like how they did the newest Batman, you know? Really gritty.
They've always been
That's what I picture it being like.
That's kind of how they treated the season 1.
It had very good funding behind
Daredevil.
It. Great storytelling. And the problem is we had so essentially these, I think Paramount was making them and they put them on Netflix and they sort of lost the licensing. And so the shows migrated to Disney Plus, which don't fit in Disney Plus. Disney Plus does not make these sorts of shows. These are Netflix shows with violence and grit. People die. They're gritty shows. And it didn't fit, but whatever. Now, they went to go film... We got word that they were going to film a new Daredevil show that was going to pick up after the other one. It was going to have Charlie Cox in it playing Matt Murdock. It's going to have Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. And everybody's excited it's going to come back. Here's the problem. We saw Kingpin... they finally were connecting this to the greater MCU, and Kingpin returns in the Hawkeye show, and it's pathetic, and he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and a little girl beats him up and shoots him in the head. And
then we have Echo.
The Hawkeye side character, and then Echo shows up, and then they have this whole side thing where the Kingpin is like adopted Echo to do violence. Here's one thing I hate that they do in superhero movies. Stop trying to get me to like the villains. You can make them understandable. You can give them interesting. I don't want to watch a Venom movie. I really don't. I think Venom sucks as a hero, or at least like this edgy, unmisunderstood here. Like, no, he's a bad guy. Have him be a bad guy. He can't be a heroic character when he's eating people. He can't. Stop with this. Echo is a villain. She's a bad character. She attacks. She was a villain. I have her comics when she started out in Daredevil. And the reason why she existed as a character, she had this contrast between him. He's blind. She's deaf. Echo had this interesting difference, this sort of counter to the... And they're trying to make like a new kind of Elektra, this sort of sexy counter villain that he has to fight against, that he kind of likes, but that sort of thing. And the problem with Echo...
Remind me, on Echo, she eventually switches sides and becomes a hero in the comics. I think right now in the comics she's hosting the Phoenix Force.
Yeah,
anyway,
and she sucks.
Not important.
She sucks.
Yeah.
Just that's it. She sucks.
But if I remember correctly about Echo, one of the reasons that she was a villain was because Kingpin
She
Kingpin
was an
groomed
assassin.
her to be a villain?
No, she was an assassin like Elektra. He sent out to attack people. I don't care if you feel bad about the murders, you're still a bad person.
Right. No, if I remember correctly from the story, wasn't it like somebody killed her father and it was Kingpin on Kingpin's order, but then he like took her in kind of thing?
Well, right, raised her to be an assassin. It's all fine. Here's where they get wrong about her character, and I hate that they have to. It's like what they did with Catwoman. She's kind of a villain character. She rides a line between the two. Harley Quinn is a bad person. Stop making her likable. Stop making her. I hate it. I hate that they do this to these characters. They've never done it well. The transition where the villain had a justifiable transformation. It sucks. Echo sucks as a character. She was decent as a villain as a counterpoint to Daredevil. And when she showed up in the comic, her powers were essentially Taskmaster, where she can copy other people's abilities and then do them. Like, she can watch somebody do acrobatics and it's like she watches it on TV and she can repeat it. She watches Daredevil and she can fight like Daredevil. So it makes her this interesting character. And you know what they did in the TV show? They said, no, that's boring. She's Native American. She has mystical Native American powers.
Oh, that's right. I remember us talking about that.
She inherits from her ancestors. Because every Native American has to have some sort of ancestor connection, something, which is weirdly racist in a weird way.
Not only that, but she only got them because of the women.
Yeah, that's true. The women.
Her ancestry.
She's a crappy character, and they use her for. She sucks. Anyway, in the TV show, she has this outs with Kingpin, who's sort of her father character, and she defeats him at the end by having him using her Native American powers and having him deal with his past trauma as a child.
What?
Oh my gosh.
And that's how
she goes through therapy?
Yeah, apparently.
Well, sort of like psychic therapy where she forces him to deal with his childhood trauma.
So
it's really
basically, dumb. She has a really dumb version of the penance stare.
No, the penance stare makes you feel guilty for your sins. It's really awesome.
Right.
The penance stare is so powerful, it can cripple some of the most powerful enemies. If he gets a hold of you and forces you to deal with your sins, Ghost Rider can down you, like no matter how powerful you are.
That's what I'm saying. She's got a lame version of that.
Yeah, she kind of touches
She's got the power that makes me think about your relationship with your mother.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sad. So they've damaged Kingpin's character, who I would say was the greatest villain displayed on television in the Marvel Universe. Bar none.
He was so amazing.
Vincent D'Onofrio
does not get enough credit for his portrayal of Kingpin in season
malice,
in Daredevil.
Nuance to his character, motivation, and desire for control, and Vincent D'Onofrio. If there was an Oscar for a Netflix TV series about a superhero, he deserved it. Brilliant acting.
Oh yeah,
brilliant acting. But they damaged his character. One of the greatest villains of all time. He became a footnote that they stomped on. The best way I can relate this is every time WWE gets a wrestler from another promotion, they crap on them because they're not from their promotion, so they just use them as a tool to dump on. It's a shame. And then Matt Murdock shows up in other MCU shows. He shows up in the much maligned freaking She-Hulk. where they meet each other in court and then they sleep together, and he has to walk home with the walk of shame in his Daredevil outfit, using the red Daredevil outfit, or the yellow Daredevil outfit, which I'm not a huge fan of.
No, and it's the yellow Daredevil outfit was awful.
It's just embarrassing and dumb, and everybody hated it because they're not treating the character everybody likes with respect. There. Well, yeah. And then he shows up in Echo, where they have a fight and Echo kind of beats him. So it's like, way to just crap on all of the stuff we love. Way to crap on all the stuff we love. It's embarrassing. So they've ruined these characters in the MCU. So how do you pick up after an amazing 3 seasons on Netflix and then damaging these characters and all of the other MCU stuff? How do you pick up and make a new show? And that's a big threat. So they started making the show, and they were about halfway through when we got to, and they were doing this through COVID. And halfway through, apparently, the executives sat down, watched what they had, and said it sucked. And it might have been Bob Iger, it might have been some other person up in Disney or Marvel. And they looked at it and said it was really bad. Apparently, it was going to be a court procedural, and it was going to be a comedy.
Oh
my gosh. Who did they hire for this? Oh.
Just
wow. That is.
And Charlie Cox, apparently, as the story goes, Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, who care about these characters, who are invested in these characters, who did such a brilliant job with the show previously, sat down and talked to the Marvel executives and said, this isn't working. Even though they're not the ones writing it or directing it, they sat down and said, this isn't working. It's gonna be bad. And they're gonna hate you for it. Especially, not just the Marvel fans, the comic book fans, but the people who've seen the Netflix show. They're going to hate you for what you're going to do to this character.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And to their credit, they threw out practically everything. From my understanding, there are bits that were filmed previously that are reused in this, but by and large, the show's completely different. The story's completely different, and it plays out differently. It's like they understood we have to, and hopefully this was sparked from an internal reflection on our shows aren't working. Nobody watched Echo. Nobody watched She-Hulk. Nobody watched any of the other stupid Marvel TV shows they've made, and they're failures. They are hemorrhaging money. And something has to give. And maybe if one of them hopefully saw the previous show and was like, this doesn't fit, like it doesn't work with the other, what you're doing. So they refilmed pretty much the whole thing.
I don't know how you could, as an executive, greenlight something like this. That makes no sense to me. If somebody had come into me, and I'm the executive there for programming at Disney, and they're like, you remember that show that we did a few years back, Daredevil? I'm like, okay, yeah, I remember it. What we want to do is we want to take Daredevil. We want to get the same people. We want to do a continuation of the story. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. And we want to change it into a courtroom procedural. We want to basically cut out all the superhero stuff, and we want to make it funny. I've been like, no, whoa, no, go back to where we had Daredevil, put in the stuff that we like. Throw out all the comedy crap. No, we're not going to greenlight this. How do you do that?
What insane asylum did the writers crawl out of is my question.
Exactly.
No, producer Jason, we have a better idea here for you. You're going to love it. Sitcom.
Okay, pitch this to me.
Sitcom.
What's your better idea here?
Laugh tracks. Sitcom. Studio audience.
And it
wasn't them out of the building. I would have laughed them out of the building. I would have followed them to their cars, laughing in their faces the entire time,
here's the
and
problem,
telling them,
Jason.
"Come back when you actually have an idea."
Well, here's the problem, which is one thing it's an issue with executives in Hollywood. One, they don't know anything about the characters, nor do they care. They look at trends, and they look at social trends, and they look at what people are telling them internally. And everybody's telling them, we need to change it up. We need to have more, during the peak woke era, we need to have more diversity. We need to have more inclusion. We need to make it more about the messaging and the politics. And it ruins everything because they don't understand. They just look at like trend signs and what is hot right now. They don't care about these characters. They don't care.
Basically that you're right. They don't care. My approach to this, I guess I should say my approach to this, the way that I see this is that these executives want to make money. And that is for them, the bottom line. Now, I could be wrong about that. Maybe they don't want to make money. But the thing is that when I sit there and I think, okay, we have a Daredevil show. And it made us a lot of money. It made us a lot of fans. Why would we depart from that formula? Why would we throw that out the window and completely
Cultures
change course?
More things are popular. The young people are into different things. But I'm telling you, they don't think in terms of honoring. Well, yeah, but they don't think in terms of honoring the original source material. They don't. They think in terms of what's trending, what will make, what will get the most attention, what will make the most money, which is why we get a lot of shows that dishonor the original content and then anger a huge amount of people because they don't understand that the core fans will be, and I've said this over and over again, we will be your biggest cheerleaders. We will tell everybody about your shows. We will love it and we will champion it. And if you screw up, we will be your biggest detractors. We will be the people out there screaming on the internet, you've ruined it. How could you do this? We will bury
and we will drive away other customers.
Yes. The assumption when you have an IP, an intellectual property, and you buy it to make content, the assumption is having an established IP. Here's a dirty secret when it comes to filmmaking and showmaking and whatnot. It's very, very, very difficult to make a new intellectual property because you might go, why we keep getting sequels and reboots and whatnot? It's because it's extremely expensive to try and make a new show that gets a lot of attention and interest. It's so much cheaper and easier with an already established IP in the zeitgeist that people are aware of and understand. So what they do is they take already established IPs, comic book characters or what have you, and then they make stuff out of them because the assumption is that you've already got a core set of people who are familiar with the content who you're just going to inherit naturally. They're just going to show up for it because they're going to show up grateful, groveling on their knees that you deign to make some sort of piece of crap in this nerdy universe that you love. But the problem is they aren't guaranteed to be your audience. That's never a guarantee. They always make this assumption that you've got this set audience that'll show up, and then they try and change it to get a more general audience. And then you anger the core audience from the original stuff. And then the general audience don't like it because guess what? It was good originally for the reasons that people liked it originally. But it's the brain rot in Hollywood. They don't understand. They're all busted in the brain. They don't really care about these IPs. What they're trying to do is make money. So and that happens all over the place. Corporations don't care about you. They're just trying to make money. So stop giving the benefit of the doubt. Regardless, JC, you're going to intercede there for a second.
There's two things that I wanted to ask. You were talking about the fact that when they release this stuff and it their expectation is that we're going to release this stuff and they're just going to be grateful that we released it, and so the fans will come along. They'll just be there for us.
Right.
Has that ever been the case? Do you think?
Yes.
I mean, in reality, Because I remember back to when they made the first Spawn movie with John Leguizamo played the Violator. I forget who
Michael Jai White
played Al Simmons. That's it, Michael Jai White. As far as I recall, that He's as far as I recall, that didn't do very well.
No, it didn't. He's also in Dark Knight. Michael Jai White. He's the gangster. He's like, enough with the clown, and then he hits the table or whatever, and he's like, "Well, kill this guy." That's Spawn.
Let me show you this magic trick. So that was the first thing. It's like
it does work though.
The executives are like they're going to come along, but I don't know. To me, it always has felt that if they do something garbage, that we don't come along.
Well, so there's a line between the two. For the longest time, if you were into nerdy stuff, if they even tried to make a movie, you showed up because you wanted to support. I showed up for Daredevil. I bought the DVD. I bought the extended edition. And to be fair, the movie, but I loved it because it's like, I get Daredevil. I get to see Daredevil. And for the longest time, it was just like crumbs to an audience that were desperate to see more content from Spider-Man stuff, the original Batman. Like, I love 1989 Batman. It's got problems when it comes to, is it really good Batman? I love the movies. He kills a lot of people in those movies. But there's like this give and take. There's this. Now, here's the problem. The movies will do good or not good to general audience because they don't care about these characters. Nerds will show up because you're giving them something like they were desperate for it. Here's the problem. We've now had a lot. We've had like 30 plus Marvel superhero movies, not to count all the DC stuff. We are no longer hungry in the desert. We are now overfed. We've got so much content to stay satisfied for decades to come, and we are not hungry for any slop you throw in front of us anymore.
That's true. Yeah.
But it did work. It did. We would show up regardless. If it was Batman, we'd be there. Batman, yeah. Even if it was a terrible like Batman and Robin or whatever, we were there. We were there for Batman and Robin.
Although we weren't there enough because there were plans to make another movie after that got tanked because that Batman didn't do as well as the other ones did.
Well, because it was a bad movie and general audiences didn't show up, but the nerds showed up.
That's true.
Because we had to support Batman, even though it was terrible Batman. You said you had two questions?
My second question is, so the executives there, and this is where I don't understand. This is what I don't understand the most, I think. And we've talked about this ad nauseum, but the thing is that when we have these executives, their whole purpose is to make money for their company. How do things like this, like Echo, like the change in direction for Daredevil before they decided, you know what, this is gonna be really bad, where we got Hawkeye and Moon Knight. How do they even get past the executives when they're like, okay, well, what I need you to do, the thing is that usually they're telling them, okay, you need to prove to me that this is going to make me money. Otherwise, I'm not going to invest in this. How do they get past that? How is it that the executives look at that and think, you know what, if we crap all over the characters and we change everything about it, that's going to bring us the most revenue?
Well, there's a few dynamics.
Just don't get that.
To that explanation. So the easiest surface level explanation is they were batting 1,000 forever, and people were showing up to anything that was Marvel and eating it regardless. Like,
that's true.
Like Captain Marvel did like $1 billion in the box office.
Really?
And it was a terrible movie. Now, to be fair, it existed between Infinity War and Endgame, and people were hungry for anything that showed up that might give you an inkling of what's coming next. What are we going to get? And it existed between two of the biggest film releases of all time, and it did gangbusters.
That's true.
And then we got the Marvels, and it was so abysmal. They probably lost like $300 million on that plus on that movie. So it's not that the movie was good. It's just, it showed up at peak Marvel, and they could have produced anything and we'd have crawled on our hands and knees to get it because they were batting 1,000. Everything was amazing. We would have forgiven even the minor, like we were showing up for the mediocre Iron Man 2 and 3. It's just, no matter what. And so these shows are banking on the fact that Marvel was the biggest thing. It replaced everything. It is the biggest thing, superhero movies right now in cinema, period. And they thought that they could just make whatever. To reiterate, the executives don't care about these characters. They don't know anything about these characters. They are not originally nerdy people. They don't care.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, for instance, for me, if I'm an executive at the company, if somebody comes to me with a garbage superhero story, I'm going to laugh in their face and throw it out. However, if someone comes to me and they're like, I have this great idea for a romantic comedy, I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't care about romantic comedies. But the thing is that what I as the executive want is I want them to prove to me before I invest in their movie that this is going to be worth my while. It's going to be worth my time and money. So how do they keep convincing these people?
One, you're not thinking like an executive in Hollywood. And two, you're not thinking like an executive from Disney. Because an executive from Disney doesn't think, how do I get this to make money? There's a bottom line and stuff. You're thinking like you're a desperate company that needs to make good, sound decisions. This is Disney, who will make a movie that hemorrhages hundreds of millions of dollars and then do it multiple times. One of those movies would have collapsed any production company.
That's true.
Disney can just
if you
keep
had a movie
doing it
on that scale
and just lose billions of dollars and then not care. Like, you're thinking it like some reasonable, like, well, I gotta do whatever I can. If the executives were trying to be reasonable, they wouldn't even take chances. It would be the most like generic, trying to get as many people interested as possible. You know what I mean? But it's Disney.
Yeah,
they can hemorrhage money and they could feel not bad. But here's a final point on what you were trying to bring up here. The final point is there was a transition period that happened within Hollywood. As this nation, and we're not strictly a political podcast, but when it crosses into pop culture, we bring it up. When it invades our territory, and the woke stuff infected everything. It's in video games, it's in movies. Yeah. And there was a transition period where this country became hyper political, and it became very necessary to, like, they were bullying companies for not saying Black Lives Matter on social media. They were bullying companies. It's just silence is violence. They were attacking people over LGBTQ issues. And so, and when you get attacked over stuff, the very vocal minority are going to be your biggest enemies because they were raking you over the coals on social media constantly. And you can either stand up for your principles and try not to be political and stay distant from the social issues going on publicly, or you can spend like thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to put out a little commercial or have a little product saying, yay, I also support you, cynically, to appease them and get them to go away.
I guess, yeah.
Like 1,000%.
Although
they don't care, which will tell you, because now that these companies are distancing themselves from the DEI stuff because it's become so toxic publicly, and because the country sort of moved away from that, they're throwing it out the window, and everybody's sitting there going like, I thought you cared. It's like they never cared. They were just trying to appease you because you were angry and very vocal. And when it comes to what happened with Disney, it was easier to appease those people. And so what you got was an infection through these large corporations, especially Hollywood and Disney in particular, with
not just that, but it was also the echo chamber effect.
Sure, but they were being told on social media that this is where the politics is going, and this everybody's moving this way politically. And so they tried to do the virtue signaling while bringing in more quote unquote diverse voices, because I don't agree with this political stance, but the idea being that if you want to display diversity, you need to be very racial and hire people specifically because immutable characteristics like sex and race and gender, it doesn't garner good writing. And a lot of their middle management were speaking into the ears of executives throughout Hollywood saying, this is where the politics is going. This is what all the young people are into. And if you're going to chase young money, you got to go in this direction. And they heard it because they're just dumb executives who just want to get money. And this is where they push the politics. And then you had a lot of these diversity hires that have shoved their way through management and through the writing room. And in particular, the writing room, that because Hollywood was so politically left-wing, that it became extremely important to have certain quotas when it came to things like people involved in production and whatnot. And the writing room became very important for that. And in the writing room, it was like, you have to have so much percentage diversity of this group or so much percentage diversity of this group. And the word behind the scenes was that most of those people could not write worth a darn. And
they were hired down to any ability.
Well, you would have productions that would have like 30 writers attached to it. And in reality, it would come down to a handful of like 2-3 people that still knew how to write, that were still in these companies, that were able to push these products out the door. And slowly, whether or not it was racially motivated or what have you, these diversity groups started to push out the non-diverse old guard in Hollywood that wrote the good stuff. And they started to hemorrhage these people, and there was this big exodus of these old white guys, essentially. And now we got, like, a perfect example of this is I think it was for some of the Star Wars stuff. Maybe it was some of the TV shows, or it might have been Force Awakens, where it showed the writer's room, and it was like mostly women who are diverse, and they had this board up, and it was like, dinosaurs, don't glorify war, diversity, LGBTQ, like just written up this idea board of what they wanted to see in the movie. And it was like, this is a bad movie. And I don't even have to see it, because you know what their motivation is. Their motivation was the politics and the messaging and trying to get your opinions into it. It had nothing to do with telling a good story, a human story about a struggle, a protagonist with either an internal struggle or an external struggle, like a journey. So it doesn't have to follow the prescribed monomyth hero's journey, but classic storytelling, a character doing things that was relatable, good stuff. But it's like they didn't understand that, because they grew up in colleges that taught them that the politics was more important than the quality of your writing. I remember seeing this guy that went through art school, and he said oftentimes when you would produce a piece of art for your teacher in college, It was more important what your explanation of what the art meant than whether or not it was any good. And that's,
you could turn in, your kitchen garbage as long as you came up with some cockeyed story about how it represented the upper classes dumping on the poor or something of that nature, or it was a class struggle or race relations or something of that nature. As long as you were doing that, you could turn in any piece of turd and it would be fine.
Well, and this is anti-art. It's anti. It's anti.
You come out and do your monologue.
It's not good. It doesn't garner good stuff. Now, I was going to bring this up in the Oscars. We were having a very interesting discussion, which is why this beginning segments run so long. But I found this in relation to the Oscars, which is applicable to our discussion right now. So I'm going to play it.
When you come out and do your monologues, which are really based on what you've read, do you go home and worry about things? Do you worry about this country? Are there things that really bug you that you can't say in the air?
You're going to get serious, aren't you?
A little bit.
I think one of the dangers, if you are a comedian, which basically I am, if you start to take yourself too seriously and start to comment on social issues, your sense of humor suffers somewhere. I've seen other people, whose names I won't mention, who do humor. And then somewhere along the line, they start to want to make their views known. I try to do it humorously. I try not to, and we've had some criticism on the show. Some critics over the years says, well, the show has no great sociological value. It's not controversial. It's not deep. The Tonight Show basically is to amuse people, to make them laugh.
And there's another interview where he actually discusses that. It might have been this one, but there's another segment where he discusses this, where he's like, I'm an entertainer, and that's not entertainment. But it's counter to entertainment. And he's not wrong. And this is part of the reason why things have gotten so bad, is because the intention isn't to tell a good story. The intention is you start out with this premise of politics and messaging and trying to push an agenda or display stuff, and not the good storytelling. Like, this might be shocking to someone who's a nerd and wants things to be honorable to the source material. It's possible to adapt something and change it because it doesn't quite fit narratively. Like Lord of the Rings did it. Like, we didn't need Tom Bombadil. It would have been kind of weird. It's possible to adapt things, but the point of the adaptation isn't to change it for any pre-prescribed ideological reason. The point of the adaptation is to change it to make the narrative work better, to tell a better story, to make a better movie. Shockingly enough,
this is something that we've discussed as well on the channel. There are just some things that work well in print that don't work well when translated to the big screen or even to the small screen. And so what you have to do is, with one of the things that they talk about a lot with movies and things is they say show, don't tell. So they want you to get away from exposition and stuff. But that part of that's something that you can do in media, in visual media, but you do have to have more exposition in something that's printed, because you don't always have the ability to rely on images and things. Maybe you're not writing a picture book, so maybe you're not an illustrator, so you're not drawing these pictures. So you do have to flesh these things out more in a book than you would say in a movie, because in the movie you can just put the character on the screen. Everybody can see that the character is
feeling
so
emotions and doing things.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and film is a different medium. I watched a movie called The King's Tide recently. It's a very quiet movie, and a lot of the storytelling is done through visual, like a character goes to do something and you just kind of understand what they're doing or what they're feeling. You don't have to be told. You don't have to have somebody hold your hand throughout the film. but to set aside the fact that we have fleshed out talking about everything up to why we are where we are with this new Daredevil show, which is like 10 years since the previous three seasons.
Wow.
So now you're sitting there asking yourself, well, we got a new one. Does it live up to the previous? And my answer is going to be no. Now, that's not an emphatic like, oh, it's awful. It's no. See, here's the thing. The show doesn't feel the same. Different writers, different cinematographer, different displays. The previous Daredevil show, moments felt important. They felt carried well. The conversations had meaning. There's a scene in the trailer where it shows Matt Murdock and Kingpin sitting there talking. In the previous show, this would be a tense, important conversation that would draw you in, and you'll care about what was happening, and just the dialogue would be dripping, tension.
In the previous show, Kingpin would be threatening Matt. He'd be like, "You stay out of my business."
Well, it wouldn't. You don't have to overly threaten. The writing was good enough that there would be implied and there would be lines drawn. And that's not to say that this doesn't exist in this scene. But there's an element that's really difficult to pin down, that it doesn't quite feel as well written as the other one. It doesn't quite, the lighting doesn't quite work for me. The show doesn't feel as dark as film noir and gritty and left in the shadows. Even during the day, it felt like it felt dark and subdued. This show, even in the dark, it doesn't feel, it feels kind of overly bright and displayed, if that makes sense. Even dark scenes where they're trying to recreate the elements of shadowing and stuff, it doesn't even quite feel like it gives me that. The dialogue isn't quite what it used to be. The cinematography isn't quite what it used to be. The storytelling isn't quite what it used to be. Now, that's not to say that there isn't merit to this show. If I were to give it a comparison to the other Disney Plus stuff that's come out, it's probably better than all of it. It's very good. It's not great is the problem. Right. And I desperately wanted the return to form. I wanted great. I desperately wanted to see things come back to the way they were. But the problem is those people aren't involved with us anymore. It's not the same show. And you can tell it's not the same Daredevil that we left. It's not the same Daredevil from before. And you almost want it to be, but it just isn't. It's not the same.
Now that isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm just playing a little devil's advocate here. It's 10 years later. What we want is a continuation of the previous. We want to feel like this is a continuation, and so having Daredevil, he's a little older now, so he's grown up. He's wiser. He's that to me feels like something that they could portray if they were good enough writers. But it sounds like what from what you're saying is that there isn't that connection necessarily, that bridge between the old Daredevil and the new one, and this feels like a new character almost.
No, how would I? It's not because they've evolved the character. It's because
exactly.
How would I describe it? It's let's say you have the Mona Lisa, and then you tell somebody else to draw the Mona Lisa. It's also pretty good, but it's not the same. It's not Leonardo da Vinci. It's not the same.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that this Daredevil, what we want is it's like I said, it's been 10 years. We want to see an evolution maybe of the character to show that he's grown up over these 10 years. And what we have here is kind of a forgery. And we can tell that it's a forgery.
A imperfect recreation of trying to redo what somebody did before. But the problem is, if you're not the person that built that before, then you're really just imitating. Here's the problem. It's not bad. It's pretty good. I'm still, I don't know where this is going to go, and we've only seen 2 episodes.
It could go off the deep end still.
Well, it could still get bad. It could really get bad.
It could also get better.
And this sounds like I'm giving sort of a normie, because other podcasts have given this, but I think I would plant it in like a 7 out of 10.
And
it's very good.
Not an IGN 7.
No, not an IGN 7. IGN 7 is like a normal 2. But it's a 7 in a sense of it's actually very good. And they take some risks in the beginning in the first season, which people wouldn't be. To tell you how bad the original version of this was, they had intention of killing Karen Page and Foggy off screen.
Oh yes, I heard that. Yeah,
they were just going to be dead, and they're like they were quintessential to the first 3 seasons. Like, what do you mean killing them off screen? And the show takes some risks. It could be essentially the plot revolves around some tragedy happens. He stops being Daredevil for like years. I can't remember how long. He just stops doing it. He sets it aside. And he crawls back into it because Kingpin ends up being elected mayor of New York.
Right.
And so he's like, it's like I'm coming back. I got to come back. And you get a bit that like look at his eye, like the devil may be returning sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Kingpin gets elected. Now they skirt it seems like a previous version of this show was making Kingpin out to be a very Trumpy character. Believe it or not, his followers have blue hats with writing on it. It's something like Kingpin can fix it or something like that. And it's like, but whatever the original version was, hey, here's Ross. Whatever the original version of the show that they had intended, the sort of Trump parallels seem to have mostly been purged. It's not that bad. It's not even really that much at all. Now we might get who knows where the show goes, but it's not something to write home about. It's not a Mickey 17, which we'll talk about later.
Can I just say
what's that?
That I never thought Kingpin should have been made mayor of New York.
He ran for president in the comics and mayor.
That to me, that's one of the dumbest things. He's the kingpin of crime.
Well, not necessarily, Jason.
Okay, he's the alleged kingpin of crime.
No, that's not what I'm saying. In the comics, his character evolved from simple criminal to like corporate evil. And that corruption and sort of uniquely American corruption that they talked about in the comics can evolve into politics. I don't think it's an unnatural evolution for it to go to.
No, I'm not saying that that's the problem. That's what I have a problem with. What I have a problem with is the fact that the superheroes put him in prison for his criminal activity. And then they basically are just like, you know what? We're going to make him mayor of New York.
Well, it's comics. What? Like, people are forgiven all of the time, Jason.
People come back to life.
People come back to life.
It's a soap opera.
Now, in terms of this show, there are serious questions because we left off with Kingpin on the run. So nobody knows why he's suddenly forgiven by the FBI and can run for mayor of New York, but he runs for mayor.
Didn't he also get shot in the head?
Yeah, he has a scar by a little girl. But you know what?
But a flesh wound.
Well, you know what the biggest problem is this show. Here's the problem. This show does talk about the fact that he's been wounded emotionally because of the Echo storyline.
Oh God!
So he comes,
and that is why he gets to run for mayor, because he has suffered.
Well,
he actually
the story is he disappears for like 2 years, and he comes back because he was trying to deal with his emotional trauma from when he was a child. So his wife was running the criminal empire apparently better than he was.
Because of course, girl power.
Well, to remind you in the show who she was before is she ran an art gallery, so I don't know how she's suddenly the greatest criminal mind.
Listen.
To be fair,
it was an evil art gallery.
To be fair, it is a very good money laundering operation, modern art. So
modern art
that's
absolutely is.
I don't think they'll say that in the show, but if they did, that would be hilarious.
He sold a piece of cheese sitting in the corner wearing sunglasses for $4.6 million. That's criminal.
Well, and so she's running it better than he is, I guess. And they have to go to couples therapy in the show.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Because Kingpin would do that, I guess. Now,
hey, remember The Sopranos, everybody?
Kind of, yeah. So we don't know where this is going to evolve. So calm your horses. But the show...
Why didn't she run for mayor? It sounds like she would have been better at it than him.
Because Kingpin... See, that's always the problem. It's like, hey, there's this amazing character. Here's a girl that's doing it better. And you're like, that doesn't happen all that time. Here's examples. Moon Knight. Remember Moon Knight? That happened in Moon Knight. It happens in Mickey 17. Where the main character's a guy, but there's a girl that's better at it. Iron Fist is the worst of this. Where he actually gets to the point where he's like, you're so much better at this girl than I am. I'm going to give you my powers. My symbolic balls, because you're better at this than me. Ew. Iron Fist sucks. He's such a loser. In the show. In the comics, he's one of the toughest, awesomest characters. Anyway, the show's really good. It doesn't quite feel like we got what we got before. But to be fair, the show needs to get its chance to evolve because it's not the same people doing it. So it's not going to feel the same. It's not, I desperately, as a lover of Daredevil, I desperately want this to be really good. It's pretty good. And we're just going to have to wait and see where we end up down the road. I wish other people were watching it so that we could have a concerted discussion about the ins and outs of the plot and maybe do media literate, but nobody has watched it. So you're just going to have to get my non-spoilery, this is my opinion.
You can spoil it for me. I'll never watch this stuff.
But we did do a deep background of everything to contextualize it. And you could tell I really like the character. There you go. Mm-hmm. We're going to set this aside. Now that Ross is here, we could talk about the important things. News up.
The Distracted Gamer Podcast's big steaming pile of news dump.
Hey everybody, it's the segment of the podcast where we go through lots of news really quickly, which is not going to happen because we have another massive... Oh, but before I get into that, I watched Andor. It's pretty... well, at least the first 3 episodes is pretty good. I like it. It's pretty good. I've heard a lot
first
of
season.
Surprised.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second season isn't out yet until like April.
Oh, gotcha.
But I started watching because I just have Disney Plus for the moment because I'm watching Daredevil. But Andor's pretty good. I really like Andor. It's in the Star Wars universe, but it's not Star Wars. It's more like what's it like to live in this really crappy empire? You know what I mean? Where it's like you're a normal poor guy getting by, and just it's good. I want to see what it's like to be a normal person in Star Wars as opposed to like a god Jedi who just flips through everything.
Yeah.
And overpowered
That's always the more interesting
superhuman.
parts.
Mm-hmm. So it's very grounded and it's good storytelling. It's like subterfuge and spies, and I would recommend it. But so far, Andor's really good. I'm liking it. But we'll set that aside. Our first story is the big controversial one, and if any of you care about Harry Potter, hopefully you will have things to say. They have cast Snape, and it's this hot black man.
Yes, the incredibly pale, hook-nosed man. Yes.
Pale with greasy hair and a hook nose, specifically described in the book. Hey, everybody, here's our Snape.
Alan Rickman is the only Snape there is. Let me
Well,
just
and even Alan Rickman was too good looking. Yeah, Alan Rickman was too good looking for that role.
He may have been too good looking, but he did a great job.
Fantastic. I'm just saying, even he was not perhaps correct. But this is definitely not, I would say.
Well,
no.
I'm going to give a preamble. I don't care about Harry Potter. I never thought the books were written very well, and I thought the movies were pretty good. But I never got drawn into the universe. And part of it was, at the time when they came out, I was just like, Harry Potter. Because it's like, it was too popular, and I was too cool if it was too popular. And so it just never gripped me. Everybody around me was reading the books and obsessed with it. I was not. Not a Harry Potter guy. Don't care. It's like when we talk about Doctor Who, it's like, hey, they're ruining Doctor Who. And I was like, I didn't like it in the first place. So now that we're talking about Harry Potter, clearly I don't like race swapping characters in content. It's really dumb.
Yeah.
Now
it's stupid.
As any of you who might care about Harry Potter, how do you feel about the direction the HBO show might be going now?
I would only give it a chance because John Lithgow's in it at this point. That's literally it. And even that's a daring casting. Oh my God, that's right. You know, that really famous Sly Stallone rock climbing movie.
Or an alien in Third Rock from the Sun.
One of his finest roles.
Yes. Or a serial killer in Dexter.
Oh. An abusive one.
A really abusive one. Anyway.
I liked Harry Potter quite a bit growing up. I read the books with, when I was younger with my mom would read them with me, and then I read them on my own later. But I don't have interest because of this. I mean, and look, to anyone, because I realize that, not to derail it for a little bit, but J.K. Rowling's been having some fights with some people on the far left of the political spectrum because of her views of trans issues. She was always this way, though. Does nobody remember how she was on Twitter a decade ago? She was horrific. Lefty. She making up, oh no, Hermione could definitely maybe be black. It's like, you described her with light skin. What are you talking about? And making up Jewish wizards so people feel included. She's an idiot. She's an absolute moron. This is not surprising.
Didn't you approve of the cover art for the books? Isn't that what the characters look like?
Yeah. And who the actress was to play this character. After you made publishers a gajillion dollars, they gave you all the rights to all this stuff to have all the say. Interesting.
Yeah, race swapping characters, gender swapping characters, in my mind, it's always a mistake. because the thing is people who are fans of the material, they already have a picture in their mind, and that picture is generated by the author. Now, how closely my picture in my mind is to what the author envisioned, that's subjective. But the thing is that when you then take the author's vision and you make it into reality, the thing is I want to see what I envisioned in my mind as closely, obviously there's going to be differences and things, but, Daniel Radcliffe was pretty close to what I would think of Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
Ron, what's his name that played Ron Weasley? Yeah, sure. Emma Watson. Yeah, sure. Good. But this is not Snape. Definitely not. And this would drive me... I'm not a fan of Harry Potter. I read the first 4 books, and then I lost interest. And I think I've seen I have seen a couple of the movies. I haven't seen all of them.
I've seen every one of them at least once.
Yeah.
No, I can't guarantee a second time. Some of them I've seen a couple of times because they were just on cable, and I've seen part of them. But I've seen at least all of them once, and that wasn't enough to make me into a mega Potter fan. So,
if I was interested in this show, this would make me not interested in the show.
Well, why don't we get? I mean, Ross gave a bit of a response, but like Silver, were you big a Harry Potter fan when you were little? You read the books and stuff?
I did. Well, I was at that age right when they were coming out that
it just hit you right.
They were actually the books that. What was that?
Well, it just hits you just right because you were right at the age where you.
Oh, well, yeah. I was in, elementary school and then going into middle school when I think the last one came out. But it's what my parents would read to us to go to bed.
So there's a lot of connection to
it. Yeah, except I only ever read through the whole series once. I don't think I ever went back through. I did pull up the actual description of Snape in the book, if you're interested.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Snape, in the books, described as a thin man with sallow skin, a large hooked nose, and yellow uneven teeth. He has shoulder-length, greasy black hair which frames his face and cold dark eyes. He wears black, flowing robes, which gives him an appearance of an overgrown bat. Sallow skin, right there.
Yep.
Swoon.
How about a hot black man, huh?
Huh?
No.
Oh.
No, I want greasy Alan Rickman. Rest in peace.
The villain of Die Hard.
Yes.
Oh, Hans.
And Quigley Down Under.
Oh,
and
good call.
Several... and several different shows.
Galaxy
with,
Quest.
Robin
Johnny
Hood.
Depp.
That was a good one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Prince of Thieves.
Robin Hood.
Cut your heart out with
Sweeney
spoon.
Todd.
Oh yeah. Oh
But
yes.
I like how people were confused. I like how in the movie the guards were confused when I said that. It's like, it's dull. It will hurt more.
It will hurt more, you idiot.
Oh, Alan Rickman, you are missed.
Yes, he is.
Well, not that you have to, but does anybody got an impassioned plea for Harry Potter and that they're ruining your lore, or are we just gonna it sucks?
For me, Harry Potter, the first book came out in 1997. That was the year after I graduated from high school. I didn't start reading the series until I was in my 20s. So,
yeah, but you're not the quintessential fan. You're not the one that grew up with it.
Exactly.
I'm in plea
I
with
think
Ross and Silver at this point.
It's hard to muster that up. I mean, not to be uninteresting, but on a real note, it's hard to muster that up when J.K. Rowling, before her big tiff with the far lefties and being called a TERF. She was this way. I mean, she was doing this kind of crap before. I mean, the stage play is kind of one thing, but it was a sign. But I mean, her behavior on Twitter with just making up, wizards left and right and witches to like make people feel good. And even though it was just horseshit, like I'm not surprised. Like it's unfortunate. It's really sad that these Harry Potter movies are the best it was ever going to get as far as like actually sticking to the books, considering the show had a much better shot because you could really actually use the full length of the book. Yeah. I'm sure they'd still, much like Rings of Power, waste all sorts of time. But if they actually wrote it well and planned it well, they could have really used a lot of that time wisely and really fleshed it out even more than the movies.
It's my understanding that some of the movies really rushed it, the stories.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Well, if you've seen the size of the books, 1, 2, and 3 are pretty manageable, but then you get 4, 5, 6, and 7, and they are tomes.
That's funny.
Book, I know, like Goblet of Fire should have been almost 3 movies.
Yeah, Goblet of Fire was, I think, the biggest, wasn't it? It's enormous.
Yeah, the thing is even for adult books, these are tomes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Silver, you really care much about what's going to happen to Harry Potter, or you just resigned to the fact they'll ruin everything you love?
I think it's that one.
Pretty much. I liked the movies when they came out and enjoyed reading them as a kid, but I was never into like, oh yeah, Harry Potter. Get into the lore of Harry Potter. I was never into that, and I'm sad for it for pretty much for other people because it's a big series. So it's like, yeah, that sucks that something so big is basically going to be trashed here, but really it doesn't affect me. I'm just like, there it goes. There goes another one.
I'm reminded of Red Letter Media when Rich Evans is talking about how they ruined Star Trek, and he has that reflection of like, I know what Star Wars people feel now that they've ruined everything you love. Because when they're
feeling our pain.
Because when they ruined Star Wars, he's like, I don't care, whatever. Because he didn't care about Star Wars, but then they ruined Star Trek, and he's like, I know why you're upset now.
But when this show comes out, the people watching it are going to be like, no, I know what the Lord of the Rings people feel like. Like that.
Watching Rings of Power, just an abortion of a rendition of the show you love. Yeah. Well,
you just know it's going to feel like that for them.
Get hyped, everybody, for the new Harry Potter. Hey, everybody, does any of us care that the Oscars came out and they did Oscars?
Nope.
Oh my God.
Who and the what now?
Let's see. Honora won Best Picture, despite Amelia.
Oh my
Perez
God, my
being
favorite.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Honora Best Actress, Mickey Madison, Adrian Brody got the Brutalist.
Well, can I just say with the Best Actress thing, I think it's really funny that Demi Moore lost to a younger, more attractive woman. That's really funny, considering what her movie was about. But whatever.
Yeah.
And again, wouldn't be so bad if that movie wasn't. Isn't that movie about a stripper?
Yes.
Right.
Sex worker, I think, actually.
Well, to give you some context, when she accepted the award, she said something like, this award goes out to all of the sex workers or something.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
All these people that have been horribly abused by Hollywood execs. Anyway.
Just to point out, it looks like Amelia Perez, which was one of the most nominated of all time, seems to have declined dramatically in all of the wins.
Because of the
strangely.
tweets.
No, that
people wouldn't go after somebody for their political opinions, would they? Cancel culture? That's a myth.
I love that despite being like checking all the boxes, this Gascon or whatever.
Super checked all the boxes.
But however, all these Hollywood types seem to forget at the end of the day that's still a very Spanish dude, and they are not woke in any way whatsoever. Just because this person transes does not mean anything else changes. Like, that guy was always this way. Just FYI, everyone. Like, the Spanish are not like this.
That reminds me, there was this famous gay Italian couple who were artists or in the art, I think it was fashion and stuff. And they famously pissed off a bunch of people because they were talking about families. And they're like, oh, I think a better family would have a man and a woman. They're like, how dare you? It's like even the gay couple are like, no, it's best for the raising of the child.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Adrian Brody. So as somebody who superficially watched clips, apparently the word was don't mention Trump at all. And no one invoked his name, which is amazing. And the word was they didn't want it be political in any way, despite the fact that all of the movies were not choices anyone would go for in any meaningful way. There was a minor amount of politics. Adrian Brody mentioned Palestine in his acceptance. Zoe Saldana won for Amelia Perez, which is a terrible film, but whatever.
I thought Kieran Culkin's comments were rather funny.
Well, of all the people that accepted an award, his was more charming.
Yes.
Because he talked about how he made a bet with his wife that he wanted more children, and she said, when you win an Oscar. So here we are.
Yeah.
And so basically he was like, do you remember that bet, honey?
the more acclaimed Culkin at this point.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, yeah. Macaulay will always have my heart.
I mean, come on. Freaking Page Master.
Of Red Letter Media fame, thank you.
Uncle Buck.
Oh yeah. My all-time favorite as a child, Home Alone.
Oh well.
I about wore out my grandma's copy of that movie.
That minor film that nobody's seen.
And it was never tried to be replicated ever in Hollywood. That's for sure.
Well, even the Home Alone 2 was really good, and Trump was in it.
Unless you watch it on a certain streaming service.
Because they cut him out, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They did.
So stupid.
I'm going to say that these were all artsy picks, and nobody cares about any of these choices. No one enjoyed.
They sure didn't.
Oh gosh, that's the Wicked.
Yeah, Dune 2 got best sound. I mean, you saw Dune 2, Jason. Was it standout sound?
Yeah. And not really that I noticed, but that might be kind of the point. It was just like, everything fit.
So they really pulled. Well. So a lot of people are upset that a movie like Dune 2 didn't do really well in the Oscars. And apparently, they directly asked a lot of the. So here's a dumb thing. Hollywood went through the massive purge where there was an intention that they had to have diversity everywhere after the Oscars So White debacle. So they had to have so many diverse people nominated in different things. They had to make sure so many people are winning, which is anti-art. Literally, Steven Spielberg spoke out against it, and he's like, no, this is anti-art. When I would argue that it's anti-art to give awards, but this is a self-congratulatory pat on the back, like pathetic insider Hollywood thing. But apparently they purged a lot of the voting groups that vote for these films to make sure it's like 30% diverse and all of that stuff, which has swung a lot of how they picked the winners and losers. And they asked across the board a lot of the voters in the Oscars sort of about certain things. And they found that overwhelmingly, most of them didn't even see Dune 2.
That is hilarious. The one thing you need to do is watch the movies, and I'm not doing that.
That sounds too hard.
By the way, I mean, I'm sure you guys know, but like, I mean, the Oscars was started as a way to like pat actors and people on the head to tell them "attaboy," so then they could keep exploiting them. And famously, I think it was, what is his name, Louis B. Mayer of MGM fame. Like he said, like, oh yeah, if these types love getting statues and awards and all these things, and it keeps them happy and it keeps me making money. Essentially, I mean that's super. That's not an exact quote, obviously, but that's essentially what he said. And I think the first one was 15 minutes long. By the way, they just all showed up to get their awards and then left. Like it was super quick. Then after that, it became more of a spectacle. They started, I think, starting with the second one, they started playing it on the radio. But yeah, so as a thing to keep you shut up and happy, actors, and now look at you, mooks.
Well, and everybody forgets that it was one of the biggest shows at one point. Like it rivaled the Super Bowl.
It was huge.
Yeah,
like they used to call it the what was it, the gay Super Bowl?
Yeah. Yeah. And it kind of fit in with how Hollywood treated their celebrities. They were very protective, and this was a way for you to get like your peek into it, but it was still very controlled.
Remember
it was all a way to build people up.
The drama with Marlon Brando, where he didn't accept his award and sent up this Native American girl to talk about how you've stolen Native American land, and it was just this big controversy.
Sasheen Littlefeather.
Yeah. So they looked into her, and she's not Native American.
I'm shocked to hear this, Red.
She's as white as the driven
snow. Cody?
She forged her entire life as being Native American, and she isn't. She never was.
I've heard people like a response to that is like, well, but what she was saying still mattered. It's like, yeah, but okay. But
it does take away from the message when the when the messenger that's giving it is not actually impacted by it.
What if somebody came tap dancing out there in blackface and talking about BLM? Would that still be okay?
We did have that redhead at a college in, I think, Washington that black-faced and claimed that she was black, and she was like head of the diversity chapter at the college or something like that.
Oh my god, I have.
She was like the vice president of the NAACP.
Yeah, in that area. Yeah, and she blacked up. And she actually, her career got burned as this big activist when her parents came out and said she is not black.
Shut up, Mom. God.
Stop. You're ruining it.
I'm getting college for free.
The Oscars apparently was the third or fourth worst performing Oscars of all time.
I've heard that keeps changing. Do they keep finding viewers under the couch? What's happening?
I've heard between 3 and 5. I don't know how to declare which one's definitive, and I ain't looking into it because I don't care. I wasn't going to watch the Oscars. Conan O'Brien was a good pick for a very politically divisive Oscars because he's not a political animal. And he went out and did a fine, goofy show, and it was fun. Like, he was the right choice to host. No one cared is the problem.
Yeah.
Let's see. In 2014, Los Angeles Times survey revealed an Academy voter base that was 94% white, 76% male. And in response, the Academy mandated inclusion criteria for the Best Picture eligibility by the 96 Oscars, requiring films to meet 2 of 4 standards: cast diversity, crew representation, industry access, or marketing inclusivity. According to Annenberg Inclusive Initiative, these measures led to a 19% increase in female nominees, 20% rise in non-white nominees in 2024. However, this overhaul drew criticism, notably from Steven Spielberg, who supported broader representation but opposed revoking voting rights from veteran members, arguing it unfairly penalized those who had earned their place through decades of contribution. He warned proved correct rather than enhancing fairness, the new system has supplanted merit with a rigid focus on demographics, especially when they voted. And this is why we have the Oscars we have today.
Yay!
Mandates in the Oscars is like, if you don't have enough diversity in your movie, you won't be considered for an Oscar.
Yeah.
Like Schindler's List would not have won.
I was going to say, so we'll never get a period piece ever again.
No.
Not the pianist, a lot of gender and race swapping.
The Pianist wouldn't have won.
Nope.
Yeah. So the Oscars are dead. Lord of the Rings wouldn't have won.
No.
I mean, unless you count the very diverse orcs, but...
I was going to say all the Maori orcs, all the big rugby player guys.
Well,
in the orc eye mask.
It does say that that criteria can be filled either with the cast, with the crew, or with marketing.
Jason,
and so
now that the voting is so rigidly shifted, there's no way anything's going to win with an all-white cast.
No.
Yeah.
No. Of course.
Well, because the Oscars so white thing was just such a big deal, and they made it a big deal is the problem. They could have ignored it, and they didn't. But
which also brings me to an article I would like to point out. Apparently, because of the Amelia Perez controversy, it's expected now that during the big campaign, when they spend a bunch of money to try and get a movie nominated and won, that you're going to see a lot of social media scrubbing to try and hide perhaps comments that exist all over the internet.
Oh my gosh.
The hilarious part about this to me... number one, yeah. Well, and the thing that's so funny to me about this is, I mean, was it Ethan Hawke's daughter, was talking about how crazy it was that, it's hard to get parts if you don't have a following on social media of some kind. Yeah. And yet that's the very thing that could absolutely screw you if you don't have the right opinion. It's so funny.
I've seen that interview where she talked about that. And it's funny because you can't get parts if you don't have enough social media presence to help with the movie. I guarantee you fame for the actor is not necessarily, especially in social media, is not going to be enough to bring people to the film. Or make it successful.
Well, because at the end of the day, if the movie, how many of Zendaya's diehards showed up for Dune? I don't know. That's kind of
I'm gonna say 10.
When you're talking about films, sometimes these demographics don't cross, and that's fine. That's okay. But it's just a very silly thing to base why somebody should be cast on. It's very odd.
It's very bigoted and racist.
It's pretty dumb.
Maybe they should start casting people on their ability to act.
Oh well, let's not get.
I realize that I'm reaching there.
We gotta have star power, kid. We murdered all of our stars. God damn it! Now we gotta get new ones.
What was the stupid film that won the Anora? Apparently, the Oscars campaign for that one was aggressive and well funded.
Which is funny considering the movie was a $6 million movie.
Yeah.
Wonder how much more they spent on that.
Yeah, sorry, I clicked on something. Hey, everybody. Slightly outside of the pop culture stuff, we had a moon landing. SpaceX flew a plane up there, a rocket up there. And a private company, for the second time ever, landed a drone on the moon. They're calling it the Athena lander. Unfortunately, it fell over and is dead now.
No!
This is it on its side. That's the feet. That's the feet. You know what I noticed from these pictures, these high-quality, high-res pictures, is how the moon looks exactly like it did when they landed on it the first time.
This one's also fake.
We faked
fake.
a failed moon landing with the drone.
Yep. Just like Musk would, that bastard.
Musk's company only flew it up there. It's funny, now that we do, like, space exploration stuff, it's NASA-approved, privately funded missions.
So funny.
But, yeah, and this happened, yesterday? The Athena lander fell on its side and is now dead.
No, Athena.
Gosh.
No. Here's a fun story, Ross.
Oh?
The DC's YouTube channel has been hacked. A middle school Korean child hacked DC's main channel on YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
And took it over.
Oh no.
Causing YouTube to shut it down. The joke across the internet was, what was your password? Literally Superman123.
I want to know which intern answered that goddamn phishing email. That's what I want to know.
That's how they
What
broke
an idiot.
it was essentially they clicked on something.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Someone didn't do their regular email training. How dare they?
Yeah. But this isn't like some side thing. This was the main DC YouTube channel.
Oh my god. The one with the big trailer on there, huh?
Yes, with this big Superman trailer.
Oh my
awesome.
god. If it turns out to be James Gunn, that's going to be awesome. And you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember when that greasy fuck Randy Pitchford lost a memory stick with all sorts of company
Important
stuff on it?
information. Yeah.
At like a magic show or Medieval Times or some dumb shit? Oh, that's awesome. Please let it be the same thing. I want James Gunn to be a moron.
Some comments in response to this one, it was Kevin Feige that did it.
He hired a Korean middle schooler?
Yeah, probably a Marvel fanboy did it too. How about password was probably crypto? Do people not know what 2FA is or what? DC really got outsmarted by a kid who just learned long division.
Oh my gosh.
Password was literally watch Superman please 1. If I had a penny for every time a major entertainment company got hacked by a minor, I would have 2 pennies, which isn't a lot, but that's weird. It's happened twice.
Oh, Dr. David Schwartz.
Oh, good times. Good times. Oh, by the way, something I didn't add to the news docket, but something I found just recently. Apparently there were Superman test screenings, and insiders have mixed reactions to the film.
Uh-oh.
That is
that's
Superman
goody gumdrop.
must succeed. Must succeed. So it's a good sign. Goody gumdrops. It's a good sign.
Good times is happening.
So a movie both me and Ross were actually quite interested in, and I was tempted to try and drag him to go see it. Apparently sucks.
I would have gone with you if it wasn't 3 hours. I want to make that very clear. But that 2 hours and 50 minutes runtime is brutal.
And its weekend does not reflect that people enjoyed it. It is a $7.7 million opening weekend.
Uh-oh. Oops.
Embarrassingly low.
So I'm assuming this is still the dark comedy the trailer made it out to be?
No. So to preface this, the movie premise is really interesting if you watch the trailer. Essentially, this guy, for the sake of the betterment of mankind, has signed up for a program where he can be cloned, and basically he keeps dying and he keeps coming back as a new clone, and he's kind of a doofus simpleton until we get an accident where there's 2 clones at the same time, anyway, drama and silliness ensues. Dark comedy. It feels very much like Moon. If any of you have seen Moon,
Yeah.
Okay, Moon is.
I was kind of getting that vibe.
Really good. Moon is a brilliant movie. It's so good. It's a human drama.
We love a Sam Rockwell flick.
Oh, Sam Rockwell's so good in it. It's very human. It's a closed sort of drama with one location. It's all him. It's like when you admire how good Tom Hanks did in Castaway because it's all him. It's all Tom Hanks carrying it. Sam Rockwell carries Moon. Moon is one of those unsung movies where I tell it it's really good. Watch Moon. And it's a really interesting premise. Apparently it's super political though. Because we get a Trump character who's very exaggeratingly Trump in an almost vindictive way. By former Hulk actor. And
Mr. Ruffalo.
Yeah, Mr. Ruffalo. And there's even an interview where he talks about how he's like, at first I thought this was way over the top and exaggerated, but since we've had the last election, it seems right on point. And I was like, oh, screw you, Mark Ruffalo.
God, he's so, other than being the Incredible Hulk, is he in anything notable in the last 10 years, 20 years?
There was one where he fell in love with the ghost of a girl in an apartment.
Yeah.
Wow. Joaquin Phoenix fell in love with an AI girl. So did Ryan Gosling. And the AI lady in that one was hot Ana de Armas.
Yeah, it turns out she wasn't really dead. She was in a coma, so I don't know what to tell you.
It was kind of, a
it's
rom-com.
All right for a rom-com. It's all right.
Ghost Dad.
It's one of those mediocre rom-coms, a la Ghost Dad.
Yeah.
Where he's touching kids with his ghost hands.
Oh, uh-oh. That really bums me out because I remember the trailer being very interesting to me, like like a dark comedy, and that's not that the trailer is super dark comedy.
They cut all of the politics out of it. It's hey, you want to know something shocking? The guy that did Parasite and Snowpiercer made another movie that's a veiled commentary on capitalism,
and not very well veiled one.
Not very well veiled. Because Mark Ruffalo is very Trumpy in the movie.
I remember hearing something since this has come out, and am I wrong? I've heard that Mickey may not even be the actual protagonist.
No, there's a girl in it that's actually smarter and better at it than he is.
You named the movie after the guy. What are you doing?
So to give you some clarification, Ross, as to sort of Mark Ruffalo's character, he is a politician that has lost 2 elections, a failed politician, and is trying to get attention with all of this like cloning stuff. And it's like this happened before the election, so they
filmed this like a year or two ago.
I think they were assuming he was going to lose.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Oh, what idiots. Oh, no. And it turned out the election went even better this time. Oh, no.
Well, Mickey 17 apparently is not doing well with audiences either. Because the word got out. It's really bad. Having listened to a few reviews on it, I'm going to say, this is not a perfect quote, but I'm going to say, and I quote, "This is one of the biggest pieces of shit I've ever seen." Apparently, it just sucks, which almost is motivation enough for us to see it and review it, but the time has passed at this point.
If it was an hour and a half, I would have been right there with you. I would have been there that night, but 2 hours and 50, and I had heard that it's like insufferable. I didn't hear any details, but I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
3 hours of that. No thanks.
Yeah. It's an insufferably bad movie.
And I hate Mark Ruffalo. Like, even his face makes me angry.
That's a big disappointment because I really wanted the movie to be good. I was there.
Me too. I wanted dark humor, almost Edgar Wrightian sci-fi Live, Die, Repeat, Robert Pattinson with a funny accent. I wanted all of this.
Yeah.
They robbed me.
You robbed
God,
me.
I hate Hollywood.
What movie will I watch now instead?
Well, you know what I did watch was something much better. It was called Vikings with Charlton Heston and Tony Curtis. And it was terrible and awesome, and I loved it. Thank you, 1950s movie making. Wish you had you now. Oh well.
And even more positive news, according to Neil Druckmann, there probably won't be a Last of Us 3.
Oh, thank God. Oh. I mean, oh no,
no.
Somebody asked him about a Last of Us 3, and Druckmann responded, I was waiting for this question. He said sign. I guess the only thing I would say is don't bet on there being more of The Last of Us. This could be it.
But I thought Last of Us 2 sold a bajillion copies and did really well. I was told that I was sexist for thinking that the game did poorly. What do you mean?
It performed well. There's two big problems. It performed much worse than the first one, much worse, and public reception was very poor.
Yeah.
Now it performed well, but I would argue that was riding the coattails of the first one's success.
Of the first one, yeah.
Thankfully, we should kill this franchise until it's dead and move on to the looks like to be very successful Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, Asian girl with shaved head game.
That title's terrible. What are they doing? What's happening at Naughty Dog?
Success. It's not the company it used to be. Their best writer.
I barely liked them before.
Their best writer, who wrote pretty much all of the Nathan Drake Uncharted games, was fired. There you go.
Wasn't that a lady?
Yep.
As
she
well?
was really good. And she wrote The Last of Us, which it explains why it was good. And it explains why the DLC for The Last of Us 1 sucks, because Neil Druckmann wrote it. And he wrote Last of Us 2.
You know what's so funny about that is that there was diversity. There was a lady writing a man, and it turns out the men loved the story she wrote, and then they replaced her with an American Jewish guy, and he's fucking terrible.
One of the biggest. He is so full of himself that he insisted on directing some of the episodes for the HBO TV show.
God, he wants to be in Hollywood so bad, which is hilarious considering it's, rotting from the inside. So yeah, go over there, please. I beg you.
Yeah, Neil Druckmann can suck it. Let's move on. There's been much to do about the fact that new show that they purged the transgender character from apparently has a Christian character, and everybody's all making noise about it.
Gasp.
Yeah. It turns out that since in a nation with mostly Christian, it's weird for some people to have a character that's outwardly Christian. I don't know why.
Not in a kid's show.
The narrative is that this might be the first openly Christian character in a Disney show for like 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it probably is. And what was the last one? God, it'd probably be Hunchback, wouldn't it?
Might have been, yeah.
Possibly.
I don't know when Angels in the Outfield came out.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful film.
With a father ignoring his child. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I love it when a dad is distant and snarky to his own child. It's really good.
God intervened, and the Angels are helping the Angels baseball team win the pennant.
And then they go home with Murtaugh from Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. Who's too old for this crap?
The one to pick up a kid abandoned by his parents was the black man.
By his white father.
Yeah.
By his dumb motorcycle riding, cool guy, leather jacket father.
Imagine the earnest prayer to get God to be like, you got it, kid.
You know what? You're right. I will intervene in baseball, my child. Oh, thank God. Thank you, Lord.
I uploaded the wrong link, but we'll move on. Apparently, we're going to get a animated Tiana TV show on Disney Plus, like animated show, and it's been canceled.
Oh no!
I never really saw the Princess and the Frog.
Yeah, never saw that one.
So I have no connection. Silver, did you ever see
it?
it?
It was great.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Silver
It's really good.
No, it was one of the last. I mean, you might consider it might be one of the last like animated.
I think it was, yeah, like traditionally animated.
Because after that, we got like Tangled, I guess.
Yeah, yep, you're right. The only reason I'd watch it, isn't Keith David the bad guy in that? Won't you shake this pulse?
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah,
he's the shaman guy.
God, he's so good as a bad guy. Also, a really good bad guy in Requiem for a Dream, where he plays a horrible pimp.
There you go. Well, unfortunately, been canceled. Animation's expensive and takes a lot of time, and it's not for me. I'm not a little girl. Let's shift on.
What?
Apparently, disappointed fans inspired Ubisoft to create a canon mode for Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, let me clarify what this means.
What?
So, when you play through a lot of the previous, like Odyssey and Origin and stuff, you might have options to play, or Odyssey and Vikings. There were options to play as a male or a female character and to make different choices throughout the game. People wanted to know what was the actual canonical story of how it played out. So there is an option to give a canon choice so that it linearly guides you through your decisions so that you play exactly what the canon conclusion to this story is. I wonder if this is a response to the negative feedback to our to our new black character.
Oops.
But there's a canon mode in the new Assassin's Creed. Something that might be disappointing.
I'm sure that'll
Ross,
stay the film for the game.
Respawn has canceled another new game that they were making.
No, god damn it. Respawn, I'm so sorry, my baby. Please make Titanfall 3. Oh no.
It's never gonna happen. IGN has been able to independently confirm that Respawn has canceled an unannounced incubation project. I understands that this is a multiplayer FPS spun off by members of the internal team that was formerly working on Star Wars FPS at Respawn, which itself was canceled. Respawn ain't doing so good.
They are in the EA mines. They are never coming out. It's like the gulag.
Shifting back to Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Shadows creative director says that Ubisoft devs are trying to listen to Japanese fans and assures they're open to good and warranted criticism.
Oh, well, that's a really interesting subtext there. Good and warranted. What does that mean? How do you define that?
We will only listen to you if you have the same opinion that we do.
Ugh, what idiots.
We're listening. We understand that we think we're desecrating your history and culture.
Also, we've sunk way too much money into this, and we will be releasing it no matter what you say.
This may cripple our company if it does poorly. By the way.
Like, we will probably cease to exist. We will be owned by the Chinese in about a year and a half. Anyway.
Here's a fun story. Blake Lively has apparently hired a former CIA operative for her crisis PR management team.
Oh.
Because backlash has grown. To clarify who this individual is,
Ryan Reynolds' wife.
The actress who is simultaneously suing and being sued by multiple lawsuits has now enlisted Nick Shapiro, a former CIA deputy chief of staff and senior advisor to ex-CIA director John Brennan, to handle her crisis communication strategy. Here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing about this. A rational person, a rational human being, considering the celebrity drama surrounding her, would just be quiet for a while until it went away. But instead, it seems like the conclusion is I need to win the PR conflict.
Yeah.
Instead of let people forget the PR drama. Because that's what a narcissist does.
Oh, god damn.
And the people in Hollywood are so down to earth.
So down to earth.
Has there been a thing, too, where people will hire, like, Mossad for their crisis PR, too? Like, former Mossad people? Like, I'm not kidding. I think that's a thing.
I haven't heard that, but I can believe it.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
That is... I'm glad the former CIA folks are getting in on that market, too. That's great.
Yeah. From top advisor to the head of the CIA to crisis team for celebrity.
To telling Blake Lively to shut the hell up. What are you doing? What have you done?
Decision.
Oh my god. You accused him of what? Oh Jesus. Oh my god. Just it's that all day.
I quit.
Well, she was dragging Taylor Swift up to give story advice for the movie, like in a weird... Did you read some of the background to like stuff she says about being involved in movies?
No.
So apparently there's a thing where she talks about being involved with movies, that apparently the drama is that she gets onto a film and starts making demands and whatnot. And there's this quote where she talks about how it's boring to just be there. She wants to be a part of the filmmaking. So she tries to actively participate in things that are going on. And she says it rubs some people the wrong way. It's like perhaps the director who's in charge of the film. But she's like, it's not creatively satisfying to just show up and act. She wants to do more. And it's like, but you weren't...
Then be a producer.
She should direct her own films.
What do you do? Like, there's... Yeah. Oh, my God.
That might be part of her problem.
Jesus. You have enough money now, honey. Just be a producer. What's wrong with you?
Seriously.
What are you doing?
Well...
Jesus Lord.
Little known story, Disney is planning to lay off 6% of its staff at ABC News and Disney Entertainment Networks. And also acts as 538 political polling sites.
Why do they have 538?
Good God.
That's a good question. Let's find out. Among the most significant changes, Disney is shutting down 538. Oh, that's a company. 538, a political news site. A political news site known for its election forecasting. The site, which employs approximately 15 people. Yeah, that's not so bad. I have
you mean you got it wrong?
I have heard of 538, which is the funny part. Will eliminate as part of the cost-cutting measure. 538 originally founded by statistician Nate Silver. Nate Silver hasn't been right in a long time.
Oh, my God. Of course that's Nate Silver. Is that fucking chode? What now, Nate, you dumbass? Good job, moron. Oh, that rules.
Well, there goes 538.
I'm guessing that it's their accuracy is what is... What has made this decision inevitable for them?
Because he was like the hot shit in that world for like all of 5 minutes, and he's been trying to maintain relevance, and it's never worked. He's such an idiot.
So did anybody see the Powerpuff Girls CW trailer leak on the internet?
Nope.
No.
I did.
It looks really bad.
Oh.
I thought it was a joke. I literally thought it was a joke when I first saw it. It's shocking.
This is Kotaku, and they said it looks like a bad SNL sketch.
Wow. And they blow everybody who's bigger than them.
And to tell you how embarrassing and off this was, CW was so annoyed they've been like taking down YouTube channels that are posting the YouTube video.
Does anybody have a problem with the fact that they're the Powerpuff Girls and these look like grown ladies?
Well, the point of the series is they were teenagers. It was supposed to be an edgy teenager thing.
They still look to me like they're, in their 20s.
Are you saying that maybe these mid-20-somethings don't quite look like teenagers? What do you mean?
Yeah, go figure.
The professor is the black man from Scrubs.
Literally when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's a funny joke. And then I went, oh no, this is real.
And Mojo Jojo's just some white man. He's just a guy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus Lord. Well, they should have trained a chimp. Where's the one from Every Which Way But Loose?
If they're just going to change all of that,
made it a better actor.
Why not just go the whole way and not give them powers and just make it like a high school drama? Like, why?
Go through honestly.
You could just put a guy in a monkey suit or just not go the ridiculous route. Because if they're just going to do the edgy teenagers in school thing. But it was so bad that it got canceled, and somebody leaked the trailer online, and like Kotaku of all sites is making fun of it.
Yikes.
I so badly though wanted a sneak peek of who plays him.
Oh my god.
Remember him?
Oh my god.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I do.
The weird androgynous crab.
Well, yeah, you can't have that guy anymore.
It'll be
Isn't
a hero.
Powerpuff Girls a Gendy Tartakovsky one?
I don't know.
He start this? I don't remember either. I'm going to be honest. Nope, Craig McCracken. I'm way off.
Well, if anybody
It does
wants
have kind of that same art style.
A little bit.
If anybody wants to be very depressed, we know how Gene died.
Oh, I heard this.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. So it looks like his caretaker was his wife, who had a heart attack and passed away in the bathroom. And Gene has dementia and ended up wandering the house and getting lost and dying himself from heart disease later because no one was taking care of him. And then the dog died of starvation.
God damn.
That's too bad.
Wait, so the stuff that I read is that his wife died of hantavirus.
Well, it might be something. I heard it was heart related, but
which is,
let's say
it was
it's
like
hantavirus.
He died of. Yeah, he died of heart-related issues, and she died like 10 days earlier of hantavirus.
Yeah.
It was like,
and because he has dementia, she wasn't there to take care of him, and he just wandered the house and then passed away.
Oh, Jesus.
And my question was, don't they have family to check up on him all the time?
Right, like, or neighbors, or friends, or...
A maid, or something?
Yeah, like the staff. Surely they have people come and like tend to the yard or whatever, the grounds. I'm sure they have a beautiful property. So what the hell's going on? The dogs? Was the wife just doing it all?
Yeah. Apparently, she was his caretaker.
God, no wonder she had a heart attack, or maybe hantavirus, and didn't go to the
however,
hospital.
she passed,
She
so
couldn't get away.
we might have more accurate information. But it's a very sad ending to one of the greatest actors of all time. Gene Hackman's just awesome.
Yep.
Go watch his movies.
wife died of hantavirus days earlier.
There you go.
Jesus.
Maybe I saw the H and got confused. Go see Crimson Tide is really good.
Crimson Tide, The Birdcage, if you want to laugh. He plays a senator in that. He's Tombstone. Not Tombstone, excuse me. Quick and the Dead.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Quick and the Dead, he's very good at that.
Just so apparently because of the controversy surrounding Snow White, Disney has canceled the UK premiere.
Oh my god. Holy shit. That's real.
The rumor is that they were expecting anti-woke backlash and decided not to do the premiere in the UK. Sweet.
Good lord.
Well.
I mean, this movie's going to eat a bigger pile of dog shit than the Captain America movie. I mean, clearly that is shocking.
Born to Die.
I mean, honestly, like it was just sending it out. Like that's just sending him out to get mowed down by the German infantry in World War One. That's all you're doing, baby.
As it's coming,
just sending
out
that
of the
idiot
birth
out
canal.
there. Yeah, fuck it, screw it, get it out there, kill it. Like just tax write off this thing. What are you guys doing? Like, are they doing this vindictively to Rachel Zegler to kill her career so she can never come back?
Has she had a successful movie?
Also wouldn't surprise me.
Hopefully it kills Gal Gadot too, because I could give a shit about that woman.
Well, so apparently there's been implied on some sites drama between the two. Gal Gadot was seen speaking at an event talking about basically Jewish racism and bigotry on the rise. And Rachel Zegler has been doing a lot of posting pro-Palestine stuff. Now, you might imply that there's conflicting points of view between the two, but then we saw them publicly at the Oscars when they presented, and somebody noted that Gal Gadot never looked at Rachel Zegler the whole time when they were doing the Oscar presentation, and she seemed to, now this might just be Hollywood drama, but it seemed like she was slightly leaning away from her. I don't know how you want to take that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But there might be a conflict in Hollywood between the two stars.
Imagine that.
I don't know how.
I can't believe the
Gadot's
IDF reservist would not be happy with the pro-Palestine Zoomer.
Yeah,
Weird.
the actual Israeli.
Who was all in the IDF.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and has nothing to be jealous of Rachel Zegler, the bug-eyed, weirdo-looking lady.
And this is maybe a hot take. And you know, because people have said that, like, oh, they should switch spots. And this is unrelated. I just want to get this off my chest. Gal Gadot is a very good-looking woman. I won't say that she's not. She also has all the erotic appeal of like a beautiful wood table. Like, oh, that's very beautiful. It's a very good-looking table. Pretty? Well, it's just she's not like she's just, and maybe the wooden table thing comes to mind because her acting is shit. She has no appeal. Like, at least with somebody like, because they were big this last year, the Spider Girls, the ladies from the Spider Woman movie. Like they're like fun and, flirty and cute and very good looking. Dakota Johnson and, I forget the blonde woman's name. But Sweeney. But like, Gal Gadot's fucking horrid. I don't understand the appeal of that woman at all. Like, yes, she's very beautiful.
That's because she's attractive.
But she is. But like, God, she has no like erotic or flirty appeal in any way. I mean, it's literally like looking at a statue. Like, it's very beautiful. I don't want to bang the statue.
I don't know her personally. She kind of comes across as a bit of an airhead, but I don't know her personally. So it's hard for me to judge on her personality. I could see the physical appearance, though. You get that sometimes from like the overly perfect sort of actors you get in like Korea and China and stuff, where it's like they're too perfect, and then it's like almost not appealing in that regard.
You know what I've noticed? Because that pops up on Instagram a lot, like these Chinese or like Korean Instagram-y influencer types, and they've done so much shit to their face with either makeup or surgery or procedures, whatever, that they like start to become not human. Like their faces are like not white nor Asian. They almost look like bug people. Like, it's horrific. And you just see like footage of normal Koreans or Chinese people, man or woman. You're like, oh my god, real people. Who the hell are these people you're putting on the internet? They're horrific.
Humans.
Yeah, it's just
humans.
Human.
Now that you say that about Gal Gadot, I see that she, in my mind now, I equate her with the Venus de Milo.
Yeah, she's a good-looking gal.
It's that statuesque beauty where she's almost flawless, but it's like I've seen the statue. I can move on now.
She might be one of those people that like ages well, and as her face ages, as she gets to more middle age, then she's almost just right. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Sure.
But she's too like porcelain dolly at the moment. She needs a little bit of a flaw to her.
What's the name of that lady that was in all those comedies about 10 years ago? She's a bigger gal. She was in that one with where she was a cop. And then she was in God damn it.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. She was on the show Mike and Molly.
Yeah. Hold on. I gotta Google because it's bothering the crap. They should have cast her as the
Ghostbusters?
Yeah. Melissa McCarthy.
Yes,
Ghostbusters woman. Melissa McCarthy is her name. Should have put her as the witch. God.
No.
Well,
Ross,
the
the point of the character is the witch is an aging woman jealous of the youth and beauty of a young girl. It would have been more perfect to do like a Courtney Cox sort of character.
Still no, because look, you can recast the hot witch. I don't just have Melissa McCarthy dub her over. Doesn't matter. But if the problem is all these women in Hollywood have aged too fucking well. You got to get to like 70 years old before they look actually old, and even then, they're not normal. There's too much plastic surgery in Hollywood. There's no natural women.
It fits with the recent movie she made, Ross. The implication that letting go of the fact that you stood out as this sex icon and you no longer are that person. That's sort of the point of the Wicked Queen. And Courtney Cox did a movie that feels a lot like that, which is why she fits into it. She's not too perfect. She's clearly aged and had work, which fits into the implication that she can't let go, that she's no longer hot.
But no, Snow White, the witch lady is fucking hideous. What are you talking about? This ain't Sleeping Beauty.
No, she's hideous when she takes the potion, but before that, she would go to the mirror and say, "Who's the fairest one of all?" And
but
the mirror
do you remember how gross she was? She was gross.
Ross, she's hiding.
That's after she
cast a spell to pretend to be like a crone. That's not what she looks like.
Yeah, right. So get the lady to look like a crone, and then just recast the one. Just have her dubbed over.
That's
there's
her
no
faking it.
No.
What are you talking about? That's a spell so that she can trick her. The point of her...
It's still stupid. So how are they going to ugly up Miss IDF over here? Singing Imagine the people.
They're not uglying her. My point is she's an aged woman who can't let go. She's no longer the hottest around. That's the point. That's the point of the story. Now, clearly they're not going to follow it, but it's an older woman that can't handle that she's not the hottest in the land. And so she tries to murder the new hot chick. That's what the movie's about.
I see why women didn't want this remade. It's a little bit too close to home for them, huh?
Because of insecurities that women have, which is why Gal Gadot seems too on point, which is why I was like,
Courtney Cox very old.
Feels like that actress that it's the still clinging on to beauty sort of thing.
I was going to say, or Charlize Theron, because she was in Mad Max Fury Road. And
but she's done it already.
She's already done it.
And it was bad.
Oh, Hollywood. You guys are idiots.
Yes. I think you're confusing her old woman for what she actually looks like, though.
I hated Sleeping Beauty or Snow White or whatever. Sleeping Beauty was my Disney movie of the princess variety. Snow White sucks.
Well, Silver is the woman. How do you feel about Snow White?
I like the old one.
See?
The new one's not going to be good.
Ross isn't a little girl.
What? You telling me this now?
How dare you?
You can't relate. What do you
guess
you need to see it from my point of view.
Excuse me.
Are we waiting for when Silver tries to murder the new hot person, the new hot kaiju on the block?
Yeah, when I look in the mirror and go, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest podcaster of them all? And it goes Rhett, and I kill him.
No!
It goes me. It goes me with my beautiful Bob Ross afro.
I am the hottest in the podcast.
Happy little birds of prey.
And I will kill you until it remains that way.
Good Lord.
I'll turn into an old crone and feed you poison. It'll have red 7 or whatever in it.
But it'll be the European kind that they just
like the red 40.
She kept feeding me red velvet cake. It's really weird.
Eat more. Yes. Whose story is this? Is this you, Jason?
This is me.
Oh no.
Yes, I knew you'd love this one, Ross.
Oh no.
So apparently this guy on YouTube, his name is Mitsu, at Mitsu Show is the thing. He wrote, I am a humble man, for I just comment on the things I see. I really worry about BL4, Borderlands 4. It feels like the movie. It feels like other situations where the publisher yanked the marketing budget to cut losses since projected sales are way, way down. And of course, Randy Pitchford got onto Twitter and said, sorry, don't need this energy right now as the team and I bust our butt to make BL4, the best Borderlands game yet. I'm going to block you in a day or so after you've had a chance to see this. Nothing against you or your opinion. Just shouldn't expose myself to this now. Sorry. And somebody else wrote back, said, his critique came from a place of love, as will mine. Please reconsider. Do better. Make a great Borderlands, and when your longest lasting, biggest supporters give feedback and worries, especially respectfully, digest it gracefully. Hope BL4 bangs. And Randy Pitchford said, I didn't see any critique. I just saw crappy negativity that was demotivating. Want the best Borderlands? Root for us and cheer us on. If you take developers' passion for granted, we'll all pay the price. I love criticism, and thankfully I've never been in short supply. Don't gaslight me on his post. It wasn't criticism, it was pessimism. It's toxic for people killing themselves for your entertainment, so screw that noise.
Randy, you greasy fuck, shut the hell up and get off Twitter. What's wrong with you? God damn. What an idiot. Go lose another flash drive full of stuff, you moron. That has porn on it, too.
Rhett knows that I love the Borderlands series. I love Borderlands 2.
You're going to be the last Borderlands
my
fan
favorite.
standing, Jason.
This actually makes me not want to buy Borderlands 4.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it, and now I'm like, why should I give you my money? You're a piece of garbage.
Jason, I can't believe Borderlands 3 wasn't enough to convince you not to buy Borderlands 4.
Ross?
I was hoping that Borderlands 4 would be an improvement over 3.
What a horrendous piece of shit that game was, and I can't believe I played through it. And you want to know how much of that story I retained? None of it.
Yeah, neither did I. Ross, Jason played the Telltale Borderlands game.
My God, you really do love Borderlands.
Yes, he does.
You poor
You're
soul.
losing him.
Do you know why I'm mad? Do you know why I'm mad with Gearbox? You know what game series Gearbox used to make?
Oh.
Brothers in Arms. When's the last time we had one of those? I can tell you when it was. It was 17 fucking years ago. I'm still waiting for him to go to the Battle of the Bulge.
These are not...
God damn it.
Hell's Highway. These are not the same people.
No, it would be horrendous now. It needed to be made 2-3 years after Hell's Highway, but now I don't want it. Stay away from it. It was a beautiful artifact of its time, of getting in on that love for Band of Brothers, the miniseries. Now, don't fucking touch it. I don't want it, and I don't want you to make it, Gearbox. Keep making Borderlands, whatever, 4, 5, 7, doesn't matter. No, I don't care. I'll play it because maybe we'll play it for Jason's sake, and that's it.
To get a couple things out really quickly, apparently Will Smith really wants to do a sequel to Hancock. and he wants Zendaya to be in it. So that's exciting.
Hey, Will, sweetie, you're like 10 years late to this superhero party. Where you like what? You should have done this 10 years ago. Nobody cares. No, you slapped the guy on TV.
Yeah,
nobody wants to hear from you.
Did you see when he showed up on XKCD's podcast stream or whatever?
No. What?
Yes. Oh, you haven't seen that?
Oh my. No.
I'm gonna pull it up, Ross. We're gonna get exposed to this.
I don't like this.
What is it? XKCD calls people.
I don't know.
Somehow he thinks it's insulting. Maybe that's the wrong guy. It's that stupid blonde guy.
Oh, with like the frazzly Gen Zer hair. Talk about that guy.
Yeah, XQC. That's his name.
Yeah.
He calls up. He thinks it means dumb, and it's something like. It's really weird. Something like you don't shower. I don't know. Okay, here he is. He's on his stupid stream, and Will Smith shows up. Hey, everybody, it's the Will Smith.
What are you wearing, Will? What the fuck is that? You Willy Wonka looking mother... Oh, my God.
Apparently, he sat down and just started giving people, like, subs, and XQC got all upset. He's like, whoa, because it costs him money. It's like, oh, don't...
Not everybody has your money, Will.
Like, don't worry about it. And it's like, dude, he could afford it. This is Will Smith. But we've got streamers now that are more recognizable and bigger personalities and some celebrities at this point.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
Very true.
Uh-huh. I wait for the day that Amaranth is in a movie, and it'll be a sad, bad day.
I'm really trying to remember. What was that stupid thing he used to call people?
Juicers? I'm Googling.
It's a weird insult that it doesn't make any sense. And I think he thinks it means they're dumb or whatever.
Oh, good Lord.
Like he's a weird foreigner that's saying something that doesn't make any sense.
Oh, my God. What an idiot.
Not that we haven't had the Hassan drama recently, but...
I love Hassan. Oh, wait, no, opposite.
Yeah. I'm going to end really quickly. Apparently, Kathleen Kennedy is throwing doubt on whether or not we get the Taika Waititi Star Wars film.
Jesus God, is she? Hey, Katie, sweetie, what are we doing? Kathy, hon, what's going on? We gonna stick with something anytime soon?
Her word is she's seen a first act, and it's hard to get him to do any writing because he's just really busy.
He's really busy lounging with his female co-stars, and
being a perv.
Not doing anything. Being a Hollywood New Zealander weirdo.
Yeah, he was better when he was in New Zealand.
He's an idiot. I don't like him.
Everybody is
obnoxious and
argue about stupid things.
Yay!
Yay, it's the thing Jason does.
So this is the last of our semifinal matches. This is the Beast of Bray Road versus the Mongolian Deathworm. We have the Beast of Bray Road, kind of a werewolf-looking dude, 6 to 7 feet tall, humanoid, covered in fur, head resembling a wolf, glowing red or orange eyes. moves as a biped or sometimes as quadruped, and closely resembles a werewolf. Also been known to resemble Bigfoot, apparently. On the Mongolian deathworm's side, sausage-shaped, 2 feet long, no head or legs, poisonous, lives in the Gobi Desert, travels underground, can kill by spraying poison, and it has the abilities of an electric eel with its electrical discharge. Go.
Well,
do we have a rundown from ChatGPT?
We do, a very short one.
Oh.
Ultimately, it would depend heavily on the terrain and how the creatures approach the fight. However, in a typical environment like the forest, the Beast of Bray Road would probably have the upper hand. That is it.
Oh, good lord, it doesn't give a crap.
Was a Mongolian deathworm just sausage rolling into the forest?
You can dig in the dirt in the forest. So.
The roots, Ross, the roots.
You didn't think of the roots.
Things dig under the roots all the time.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, Beast of Bray Road. He's a chill guy, and he's maybe a little tired of the fog and the rain. He wants to go get a little bit of sun, a little vitamin D. So maybe he heads out to a more desertous locale. Get some of that delicious sun, vitamin D. And oh no, it's a Mongolian deathworm.
Oh no.
And my boy, the Mongolian deathworm is just, he's tremors in his way through life. And he sees himself some dogs, you know what I'm saying? Some dogs, some of them Beast of Bray Road toes, you know what I'm saying? And he goes to have himself a little nibble. And damn, boom, doom, done. Poison toes, Beast of Bray Road's gone. That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
I'm thinking that the Mongolian deathworm pops its head out and the Beast of Bray Road stomps it flat.
No. Here, the Mongolian deathworm clearly.
The thing is if you do realize, if the Mongolian deathworm moves on, then it's Bigfoot against the Mongolian deathworm.
You are not carrying Mongolian deathworm to a Bigfoot to the finals, really?
No, listen.
I'm still mad about my beautiful big-headed boy.
Deathworm. Yeah, clearly the Mongolian deathworm was going with this. His best buds was best buds with our dunk boy, and is out for revenge.
With our sweet dunk boy.
Dunkachino.
Palm in a basketball in heaven.
Listen, I have more evidence of how much he's hurting from the loss of his boy.
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
Oh my God, Silver, I love this.
How many did you make?
Go ahead and right-click, save image.
Oh my God. Now I've got to, get all of these. Oh my gosh.
Well, save to desktop.
Keep talking about this stupid.
Right, so.
Well, you do realize that once we get into the finals.
John Wick the guy.
Once we get into the finals, Bigfoot could, Bigfoot could take care of this for you with the Beast of Bray Road facing off against Bigfoot. But seriously, do we want a red sausage to be beating the werewolf dude?
We might have revenge votes at this point.
Listen, okay.
I love my sweet Mongol boy.
The Beast.
Mongolian.
The Beast of Bray Road. Beast of Bray Road knocks down the door, storms the home of the Mongolian deathworm, kills the dunk boy, which was his best bud, and so now he's out for blood.
Question mark to 2025.
Even better, I made this 2 weeks ago.
Oh my God, Silver, this is awesome. Homework? No way, pal. This is the real work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I had like a night, and I'm like, I know what I'm gonna do.
Another angel that's dunking in heaven.
Yes.
I believe I can fly.
So after the Mongolian death worm buries the dunk boy in his backyard,
So it's a rainy funeral.
Yes, it's very sad. He storms away and goes and kills up the chain of command toward the Beast of Bray Road.
And then when he faces off against the beast stomps him flat with one foot and walks over him.
Listen, we don't know what's going to happen with
does that little
John
twisting
Wick
step
Deathworm.
as he walks past,
like he's putting out a cigarette.
Exactly.
Do you know?
I really wish my sweet Mongol boy was longer than 2 feet, but it makes it real hard. I'm going to be honest.
Do you know who can't palm a basketball? A worm.
That's why he loved our dunk boy.
Yeah. They were opposite sides of a coin, but they were best buds. The one
they were raised on the opposite sides of the tracks.
You know what? I'm going to need evidence that they even knew each other.
Well, I think we have it here.
Oh gosh!
Do you have pictures?
Look, that's what he made. That he went to his funeral. And
with what
clearly
hands?
He made that.
With what?
No, he called up the print shop. Thank you.
He just uses like the end of his weird worm tail, and it easily can be used on a touchscreen.
With what money? In what wallet? In which pocket?
With what eyes?
Listen, he stole it.
With his secret Mongol treasure, okay? That he stole from Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
The Mongolian.
Silver, I love our sweet Mongol boy because he was best friends with our sweet dunk boy, but I don't know about this one, pal.
No, come on.
I just don't want to see him get torn in half easily by the Bigfoot, is what I'm saying.
I'm pretty sure he could also win against a Bigfoot.
Getting them big feet toes, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because that's really the only thing he could do is bite people's feet at this point. I mean, to us regular people, the Mongolian deathworm is very scary. To 7 foot tall wolfman.
He has discharge.
He goes through the dirt and then bites the giant feet of the Bigfoot monster
and shocks whoever tries to get him.
Venom. Yeah.
I don't know, pal.
Look how much he loves his boy.
He loves his dunk boy.
He did not make. You made this. You admitted to making this. No Mongolian made that.
Listen, okay. Mongolian Deathworm came to me one night in tears and asked me to make this for him.
In tears, it has no eyes.
Your narrative,
look at that.
Your narrative is
no
falling
head
apart.
Or legs.
First, he hired a guy at Kinko's. Now he's coming to you at night. How did he get up your stairs?
The guy at Kinko's.
How did he ring on the doorbell? How did he get to this area outside of his sand dunes? Your story collapses, good sir.
Listen, even though he's a worm, he's not handicapped. He's handy-capable.
Stop with this. Stop with this trying to... First of all, you know what
you're
going to start...
Do not pout, my boy.
What do you start implying?
You've already
that
killed
I'm
2
ableist?
of my other boys.
Am I ableist now?
You absolutely are.
Yes.
Well, if he's handicapped, then he wouldn't win.
Yeah.
No,
very true.
He's capable.
Yeah, capable of doing some things, but not others.
Like seeing.
He could do anything that you and I can do.
Jump.
As well as shock people. Jump. Hey, he could get a really good wiggle going and like Shamu breaching over, he could do that.
Opposable thumbs.
Yeah, see?
He cannot do that. He can grip with his mouth, thank you. I take umbrance with this photo. That is not a 2-foot-long worm. This clear, real photo of the Mongolian death worm.
Well, you should see the other ones. They were so much garbage as opposed to this one.
He's too small. He's too small to win this fight. He's too small.
2-foot-long thing is really hard. I'm not going to lie to you.
Silver's just bitter.
If he was the size of that worm thing in Rings of Power, I maybe, but
he aspires to play piano at the Oscars.
With our savior Zelensky. I'm gonna have to go with Beast of Bray Road. I'm sorry, Silver. I love the effort, but I just he's 2 feet long. It's really hard.
No, you were not.
It's like saying Warwick Davis is gonna beat me at basketball. It's just not gonna happen.
He's got hoop dreams.
Listen.
I mean, even if you do Photoshop something, Rhett, what is your vote?
No.
It is the Beast of Bray Road because
she's making. I mean, finding evidence.
That's 3-1.
Wait.
She's fabricating evidence. Everybody
unfortunately dies.
She's not. She's finding it. She's searching. Don't listen.
Listen.
Okay,
yes.
we won't listen.
Okay. I found a historical photo.
Oh my gosh.
This is... What's wrong? What's going on?
I gotta see this photo.
Okay, well, you're gonna need some backstory. It's a historical photo.
Uh-huh. Is it black and white?
The friendship.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's not that historical. There were friends in recent times. Come on.
Your story
They had an iPhone to take selfies together.
I think you're blowing smoke.
With what thumbs?
No. Listen.
This is why he had to be friends with the Dunk Boy.
Are we fabricating this picture or what?
It's not being fabricated. It's rendering. Give it a minute.
Enhance.
If you had it and found it, you wouldn't need it to render. You would already have it.
Enhance.
It's uploading.
She's enhancing the photo.
Enhance. Oh, hold on.
There we go.
They
even posed in a booth to take this picture. You can tell by the background. Okay. Discord. Images. Perfect.
I'm so excited. I'm so happy right now. I cannot begin to tell you.
They were celebrating together.
Aww. Aww. Go ahead and right-click save.
And
See?
And it still goes down, unfortunately.
No. New Year's 2009. These two.
Good New Year, I'll tell you.
Yeah. These two were celebrating New Year's together, and they even got a picture taken as proof of their friendship and the bond that they have.
It's obviously photoshopped because Mongolian deathworm is way bigger in that picture than it should be.
It's forced perspective, sir. They did it in Lord of the Rings.
He got really close to the camera in that picture. You know how tall the Flatwoods monster is? He's over 10 feet freaking tall. That means that the
I challenge how realistic this picture is.
No, the Mongolian deathworm had to get really close to the camera
huge.
in order to get a good picture.
He could have just sat on his shoulder.
He didn't want to infantilize him.
Friend.
One looks like a cartoon and the other one does not. That's a question.
It looks fine.
Look, they even wrote on the picture with a Sharpie.
With what fingers?
Their names in the year. What more evidence could you want?
Well, I'm calling it. The Beast of Bray Road moves on.
Oh yeah, the Mongolian death worm. Yep,
Bigfoot in the final.
I might be fabricating something at the moment. Give me 1 second.
Oh dear.
Please help.
Fabricating.
Unless it's bad, then don't.
Unless it's bad. I mean, rendering a realistic historical picture. Okay. Get ready.
Waiting.
Why? What's with the sarcasm?
We waited for
I mean, you guys didn't believe me.
You know what I produced? What do you mean? You know what I produced? I was trying to find it where I saved it. This stupid thing. Oh yeah, I gotta see. I literally, there it is. Cut. I know everybody's waiting on bated breath, but it's like I have to skip through like a bunch of crap images. All right, everybody. Here we go. It's like I save it to a folder with 400 pictures and then I have to go find it. Participated in World War II.
Hold on, this is a colored photo? How is this
Look
World
at
War
how
II?
realistic my
World War
picture
II had
is.
color.
Look at it.
Beautiful Mongolian boy. Look at him.
How's that make you feel, Silver? Perhaps war crimes?
Well.
He seems happy about
Here
it.
you go.
You're not
Exactly.
You're not making up another picture.
Like that.
Who is this?
Right click save. Wormwick.
It's Mr. John Wormwick.
Now you're reaching.
Oh,
The name.
I adore that.
He's coming for you.
Oh, he coming.
Yeah, well, he's dead from a giant werewolf.
No.
You could tell your argument is flawed because we spent all time talking about how weak this worm is and not talking about how baller the Beast of Bray Road is. If you have to spend all your time defending a worm, you're in a weaker, slimier footing, Silver.
One bite from that freaking worm and that thing's dead.
Well, that worm gets bitten once and it's so small and weak it's dead. It requires poison.
Pretty sure it burrows through the tunnels in the dirt, comes up and bites it in the butt.
You burrow through the tunnels in the dirt.
I do, so what?
You're too big for that kaiju monster.
These arguments have become classier and classier.
We're a classy podcast.
We are a classy podcast. Well, it looks like we're drawing this to a
Dare
close.
you not take me seriously?
We're drawing this to a close. Silver and brew and be belligerent after the worm is proven to have committed war crimes.
Listen, you know how many of my boys I've lost?
Is it our fault you keep backing losers?
The slappy boy.
Flat with Monster. And now Mongolian Deathworm Boy.
Who was the first one you got upset with? The flappy
hero.
The feet slappy.
It was the Dover Demon.
Yeah.
My boy, the Dover Demon.
My boy.
Hey, the Dover Demon beat the Michigan Dogman. It didn't survive against Bigfoot, but
got pulverized by the Bigfoot. No, I think was that the one where he let the Bigfoot go through.
Well, as a I guess a signal to allow Silver to figure out how she would fall, to question your morality. Dover Demon versus Flatwood Monster.
Oh.
Who is more your boy?
Now, if it was the Dover Demon versus the Mongolian Death Worm.
No. Which one do you favor? You're gonna have to let one go. Which one wins?
Either Dunk Boy or Flappy Boy.
We have Dunk Boy or Slap Feet, yeah.
Slap
really tall guy or doesn't do anything and runs through the road.
Slap Feet.
Between those two, I'd probably have to give it to the Flatwoods Monster. Dover Demon got lucky with that route.
Uh-huh. So you are capable
of
being
monster against the Dover Demon.
Of allowing. So you've now elevated Flatwood Monster to just the one you defend over everything.
No, in this scenario, it does defeat the Dover Demon logically because of how gigantic it is.
Oh, so now we're using logic. Well, how about Flatwood Monster versus
I've been
Mongolian
using logic this whole time.
Okay, Flatwoods Monster versus Mongolian Deathworm. Which wins?
Well, I think logically, we don't know anything really that the Flatwoods Monster does. All we know is just stands there and dunks. So here comes the Mongolian Deathworm, and it's so tiny compared to the Flatwoods Monster, it goes by pretty much unseen and just bites its weird floaty feet. Kills it.
I disagree, madam.
I
think he's still floating.
Silver has gone insane.
He's like a leech parasite, I'm pretty sure.
It's time we put her down.
Oh no.
No.
The brain worm's gotten to her. A Mongolian
But of all who would win against me? Aha!
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 You know who would win against you? You know who wins against you? Normal amounts of homework.
Oh.
Oh,
whoa, pal.
I'm melting.
The testing center.
Poor
Poor
one thing that won't affect Silver, but one thing you might be curious about. In a handful of days, we are losing Lies of P to Game Pass.
Oh no.
I know.
Lies of P?
I know.
No, they're also going to come out with DLC.
Not the PP game.
Well, at least you have a physical copy that one of the most amazing people have given you. I wonder who that was.
One of the most important people in your life.
Yes.
Yeah, who was that?
Somebody you owe a lot.
Pa?
A kidney, perhaps. Which will be collected at a later
quarter
time.
of a lung.
On demand.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a proper donor. Say it now.
Well, who said I needed it for donation for myself? I just might want one for fun.
Just keep in your fridge.
Play catch.
You like football with a kidney.
You know, for fun until I'm like, ew, gross, and throw it away, and it just demeaned your sacrifice.
Oh. And once it starts rotting, you're like, okay, now you can go.
Well,
Just wanted you for a short while.
It seems like we've hit peak podcast at this point. So we best get out of here.
Have we? This is the best episode ever.
We have to get out of here. Silver, it's been nice. I suppose I could go around the table, but Silver's gone insane. So let's just get out of here. Bye, everybody. It's been fun.
Bye.
If you like the show, follow Rhett, Jason, Ross, and Silver, the world's most lethally stupid internet personalities, on Twitter at DG Podcast or on Instagram at Distracted Gamers. If you liked or hated what you heard here today, you can email them at thedistractedgamers@gmail.com and share your feelings. Not that Jason would care, since he hasn't any, of course.
Oh my God, it's so juicy! Yo.